What's up, people? Hotep Jesus. We are back. Another uncomfortable conversation. Before we get into my very special guest today, as you already know, today's podcast is sponsored by the three companies that I'm a co-founder in. Shout out to Maher and Youssef, my co-founders over at coinbitsapp.com. We handle automatic Bitcoin investments. Spoke to my attorney, Peter Hazy Petros, yesterday. Had a great talk. We spoke twice this week, him and his partner, Sam, putting some contracts together to basically become compliant to the bureaucracy of the SEC and the communists across America so we don't get in trouble for exchanging Bitcoin for the almighty USD. So you guys are not aware, you're not already. If you're not investing in Bitcoin, I don't know what the hell is wrong with you. I mean, we done made so much money over here at Hotep Nation off Bitcoin. Hotep's been told you. Currently, the price of Bitcoin is at 11.9. Everybody's been, or people not in the know have been talking smack, talking junk or whatever. And they don't quite understand it. But if you dollar cost average, it's the safest way to invest in Bitcoin. And that's exactly what we offer at coinbitsapp.com. It's the dollar cost averaging investment model in Bitcoin. Also, Wazo AI. Wazo AI, we do video analytics, anything that the camera can see, whatever crosses the camera's vision. Shout out to Felicia Killens in the chat. Shout out to Steph Colonel Chad, Brody, Drew. What up, homies? Holding me down. But like I said, Wazo, we do video surveillance. Everything's held local. Nothing's on the cloud. So your privacy is yours. You own your data. Separates us from the competition. Also, we're optimizing the retail space. If the retail space ever opens up due to COVID, working with Chad, working with Rita, putting together a nice sales team. Dev team is 7 strong. Shout out to Riley, my partner, Danny, Sam. We have an investor. We have over 110K invested or soon to be invested in our company over the past few weeks. So that's what I've been working on. I've been working on my tech projects. Shout out to Chad, 999 Super Chat. He said, shout out to the press. Stop being broke so you can help build the nation. Yes, sir. Drew Sample, he said, 499 Super Chat. Thank you. He said, shout out to our president, Doe Doobs. Oh, yeah, we're going to get to him. And last but not least, Jiffitize. Every grifter's dream app. Allows you to rip videos and GIFs directly from Twitter straight to your iPhone because for some reason iOS doesn't allow you to do that. But we make that possible over at Jiffitize. All these companies' links are in the description box below. And as many of you already know, I'm a 2-time author, soon to be 3, 4, 5, 6. My book's in the description box below. Unbreakable Rules of Masculinity, the guide to masculinity, the guide for men to help you have better relationships with women. No, it's not a pickup artist book, but it's going to show you how to be more magnetic and draw women towards you. But more important than drawing women towards you is having a healthy relationship with women. Healthy, non-toxic relationship with women. Something that is going to preserve your sanity, keep your stress low, and her happiness high. And of course, Dominate Twitter, my premier book, my first book, teaches you how to wrestle with Twitter, grow a strong following. It's all my secrets and how I got on a Joe Rogan experience. And part of that is my Mogul Summit. I have a class every Saturday. Chad's there, Brody's there, a bunch of other guys are there. And we have a class every Saturday. If you guys want to be a part of that, briansharp.co/summit. I hear sirens going on with my guest today. But let me go ahead and get ready to introduce to y'all my guest today. We have the president of Hotep Nation. I had a great history with this young man. We've been building this brand for about 5-6 years now. He's been a vital part of that, the catalyst of all of that. And we're going to get into some of those stories. So I'd like to introduce y'all none other than Mr. A.R. Morton, Doe Doobs. Doe, what's good, homie?
What's going on, beloved? We're shaking, man. Finally, Finally, right?
Yeah, yeah. We have to make sure people wait. Whatever they have to wait for is usually good. How does Heinz say it? Had to catch up.
Anything worth having is worth waiting for.
There you go. There you
Something
go.
like that. Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah.
how you been, brother? How you living?
I mean, I've been doing wonderfully well, as my mom says, man. I've just been, doing everything that I said I was going to do a few years ago, man. Just first of all, being a pillar in my household, being, the leader and the husband and the father that I always wanted to be, and continuing to work in that. Uh, Entrepreneur, investor, doing all of those things. And this entire year, like, I can honestly say I've reached levels that I've never reached before in my life. So honestly, I have no complaints at all. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm just happy to really be here, man. Blessed to be here. Grateful.
We're gonna dive right into it. I want to start with your childhood because, a lot of white conservatives would say, "Pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, nigga," and
Yeah, yeah.
the black liberals will say, "Oh, you can't pull yourselves up by the bootstraps," and white supremacy, so on and so forth. So I want to start your childhood, and then we're going to work our way up into how you became the successful investor you are today. So, what was your childhood like? Where you grew up in Philly?
No, actually. So it's like I'm kind of nomadic in
Okay.
origin. I was born on Long Island, New York, Nassau County, 516. Then I
Oh, so you from
moved.
New York?
I lived out. Yeah, yeah, you can't
Okay.
tell,
Okay.
and I'm offended because you already know, like city people, they don't even recognize Long Island like that. You feel me? So I gotta
Yeah.
like put the accent on extra heavy, like hot dog, New York. You know what I'm saying? Just so they know. But yeah, man, Long Island, and
Mm.
I lived out there from birth until about 2002. And while I was out there, I pretty much just got like my bearings in life. I was only 12 when I moved, and I actually got my first income stream during this era when I was in New York. This is in the late 90s and stuff like that. Well, this was coming in the mail every week. And my mom was one of the first people on my block with dial up. And with that, I was able to, be on websites I wasn't supposed to be on, like Black Planet and stuff like that, and hone my graphic skills. And those skills allowed me to, transfer those skills to like my friends and stuff like that who wanted their pages done and guest books done. And then I was a assistant drummer at my church, and
Mm.
anybody who's grown up in the church knows like it's like get it, that was like I'm on stage, and that allowed me to get paid. I'm making money around 9 years old playing. So that was that in Private Island in 2003 out of nowhere. My mom said we move into Providence, and that's where we went. And from there, that's when I ain't gonna lie, I was like 13 years old now at this point, and this is when I saw me steering away from public education. Elementary school, I loved it, and most people they have like a high school dropout mentality getting into entrepreneurship. I kind of like dropped out of middle school, and I'll explain. Hold on, let me close this window real quick, man. It's super loud. Is it too loud? I don't want to like mess up
Yeah,
the
go ahead,
feed.
go ahead, do your thing. I'm gonna shout some super chats out.
Yeah,
Shout out to Noah Roberts.
for
He said,
sure.
"Much love to you and Doe. I learned a lot from y'all. Appreciate you." Cornelius Edwards, $10 super chat. Thank you, Drew. $20 Canadian dollars. Appreciate you. He said, "Peace and prosperity to the Hotep Nation from Drew, aka Mayor McCheese on Discord. Join Hotep Nation on Patreon." Oh yeah, we get it popping in the chat. Shout out to my homie Raider. Raider's the ultimate moderator. I appreciate you, homie. You hold me down like no other. So yeah, those back. So, yeah, so what was you
So
saying?
yeah, so we in Providence, and so middle school was when I was like, okay, I don't like school. You know what I'm saying? And it just so happened when we moved to, I was staying at my grandmom's house, and around the corner from my grandmother's house in Providence was this local clothing store run by like an ex drug dealer, my OG named Hev, and he I used to, want to be around him all the time because during this time, this is like, '03, so plasma TVs was brand new, and in his store he had plasma TVs. He had all the hustlers in the city coming shopping with him, so that was just a spot to be.
Mm-hmm.
And as a youngin, without a father, of course, positive, strong, masculine role models were something that I always gravitated to as me trying to, I guess, fill that void or that gap from my pops. So I gravitated towards my OG Hev. And I pretty much trolled him for a job. So what happened was I used to wake up in the morning and I used to see him, because sometimes I'd be late for school. So when he's opening up the store and I'm being late for school, I used to be like, I used to go in there. I'm like, yo, let me work. He'd be like, man, go to school. So I go to school. And then I'll come back after school. And he would have, like, this is back when, big white tees, 3X, 4X, 5X was popping. So he used to get the shipments from New York. And when the UPS dude would drop the boxes off in the store, I used to just be in the store already kicking it with him. So I just started folding tees. You know what I'm saying? Just folding tees without him asking me and all of that. He was like, yo, like, get out of here. Like, he was trying to get me out of here. But I'm like, nah, Hev, this is who I want to be. And by ninth grade, this is when I was like full-fledged. I'm like, I came to him like, yo, either you gonna let me work here or I'm just gonna be in the street all day. Because I'm not going to school. You feel me? I already done changed my phone number to my cell phone. So they're not calling my mother. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't even worried about getting expelled, suspended. I didn't want to be there at 13, 14 years old. So I pretty much forced him to hire me. And I just guilt tripped him like, yo, either I'm going to be in here all day, I'm going to be in the street. Like, which one would you rather? You know what I'm saying? So now I'm literally 14 years old working a 9 to 9. You feel me? So I would leave, wake up in the morning, act like I was going to school, my book bag and everything. And then I would, wait for my moms to pull off, take that the school polo or whatever I had off, put my actual fresh gear because I work at a clothing store, and I go to work. By the time I was 15 years old, I had a key to the store. I was a manager. I had literal 25-year-olds, having to ask me what to do. You feel me? And from there, that was, I was like, okay, I'm cool with school. Like, I'm totally done. And so my freshman year of high school, out of the 180 days that I was supposed to be there, I went 30. So I didn't go the first day of school. First day of high school, I did not care. Like that, how everybody's like, oh, it's freshman year, high school and all of that. I did not care. I was not, all of my, friends, role models and stuff like that, they was already 19, 20. Like my literal peers were older than me. So when it came to that, I wasn't missing anything. Being fresh in the high school was nothing compared to being fresh in front of a bunch of 23-year-old women on their lunch break buying clothes for their boyfriend. You feel me? Like that's what I wanted to be around. And from there, I was just under his tutelage, man. And I was just, making lots of money. Of course, when you're 15, making that much money. And then, of course, I was hustling. Who doesn't at this time? Hustling. So it was like, for me, my mom was like the IRS. So I was able to show her where I was getting my money from. You feel me? Like, I'm working. This is where I work after school. You know what I'm saying? And so when I'm bringing in all of this money, she's like, all right, whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying? Bills do. You know what I mean? So I used to, help my moms out and stuff like that. And that's really what got that's what bit me when it came to the entrepreneur bug. Now around this time as well.
Hold on. You skipping a lot of details that we got to cover.
Okay.
Number one, how in the hell are you skipping all these days of school and child protective services isn't showing up at your mom's house or the school isn't? It seems like the school has neglected this child.
Well, check this out. When I got in trouble the first time, I guess it was like first semester or whatever, they hit my mom's up. It was like, yeah, Andrew hasn't been there for I don't know how many weeks. So of course my mom was like shocked or whatever because she didn't know what the hell, you know what I'm saying? Like, how is you not going to school? So of course I went in there, I remedied that situation. I went in there, I told the principal, hey, my mom changed her number and it was my Nextel chirp. So I gave him my Nextel chirp number. So anytime there was any disciplinary calls, I saved my school's number to my phone. So anytime I knew they was calling, I play like I was my father and, oh yeah, he's with me, I'm taking him, or I just wouldn't answer the phone at all. And then I changed my home address to the store that I worked at. So the report cards and all that stuff was going to the place I worked. So that's what that was. I kept my moms in the blinds about my terrible grade up until moved from Providence when I was turning 18. So during this time with MySpace,
there's no way. Layout. Wait. So there's no way you graduated ninth grade?
No. So what happened? So This is Bush era. So this is No Child Left Behind. This is, all of that stuff. So they pretty much compromised with my mom. And they kept letting me go to, the next grade. No, yeah, like, because I did remember past tests and stuff just to get to the next spot. They let me go to the 10th, and then let me go to 11th. And it was basically during the Bush era. They were just trying to get people like me, hustlers that was wearing the clothes, smelling like bud and all that stuff in the hallways, out of there. So the fact that you're choosing not to come, we're not about to chase your mom down to have you in here. Like, trust and believe.
Yeah.
So, like, we have real police in our schools. So Officer Wayne, that's his name, Officer Wayne. Officer Wayne saw me in the streets all day long, and he even had like, man, you know what I'm saying? What we gonna do with this kid? So I got arrests here and there. Like, there was times where I got banned from like the place where the city buses meet or whatever. So anytime I step foot on there, I would get arrested. I got arrested a lot during 04 to 06. I was getting arrested like every other week. My mom had to come pick me up from the local precinct just because I was a kid trespassing and all of this other stuff. So when you like account for everything that's going on, the fact that she can pull up at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon to see me safe inside of a store, all of that was worth it. You know what I'm saying? Like, the fact that he's no longer doing none of that knucklehead stuff, and he's with this older guy who's in the church, and because he changed his life over. He was, he's hustling, but he's no longer hustling. He's hustling. So he's now a positive role model. So my mom would rather me be with him than anywhere in the street. But of course, I did my very best, and I think I succeeded. It wasn't until I was in my mid-20s that I think my mom even knew I sold drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did my real best to keep her, in the blinds with all of that type of stuff.
All right, so MySpace comes along.
Yeah.
So MySpace comes along, and what happened? MySpace came along, and
yeah.
what happened?
So I've already been. I started with this software called Photo Impact. My cousin Danny, he put me on it. This is back when, I don't know if you remember, Black Planet had those thug dolls, whatever. And he put me on graphic design, and with those skills, now I'm years in now, so I'm doing HTML mapping. So back in the day, the average person would just go to like MySpaceLayouts.com and then copy and paste that whole HTML code. I literally built that code. Like, I would map out their pages, have their pictures instead of Lil Wayne or Remy Ma, whatever. I would put there up there, put rain effects, all this stuff, and it was I started charging my peers $20 a page, and because this is the era of CD burners, DVD burners, and stuff like that. And when you in the hood and, you're the one guy on the block with the knowledge, you feel me? So everybody to the one dude mixed it. And when I went in there, and that relationship with school for real. Like, I remember one of the days of my 9th grade year, I was hustling or whatever. I went and I bought out all of the snacks in school. Like, I bought all of the Skittles, all of the, cookies or whatever, went to the vending machine, bought like $50 worth of drinks and all of this stuff. And I just started throwing them in the lunchroom, and they shut down snack for the whole year for that. But so this is the type of, entrepreneurship stuff that I was doing. And so I got CDs popping. I got iron on shirts popping. I got MySpace layouts popping, and I'm making good money. And plus I'm working at the store. And then my mom being my mom. So the school comes to her. They're like, yo, we don't like him. He don't like us. He keeps getting arrested. He keeps doing this. He's fighting, da-da-da-da. Listen, no child left behind. He just have to be here until, he can graduate with his class in 08. My mom said, okay. And literally 2 months later, we was on 9-5 going to North Carolina. So I moved to North Carolina. And because of how crazy my credits were when it came to high school, none of them transferred. Literally, like, I think 6 transferred, if that. Strictly on by my 9th, and I'm turning 18 in a couple months. So in my mind, for sure, I'm not walking inside no building. I'm not about to be an adult pretty much and going to high school as a freshman. So I went, of course, because now I'm in a new land and I don't know nobody, and there's no have there. There's no nothing. And so I was going to school. I got into a couple fights or whatever. And then I met my homeboy Shad, who was like my brother to this day. And I'm his big brother, Courtney, and me and him, we started building businesses together. We started our first business, which was Red Carpet Society. It was a lifestyle brand. This is back before lifestyle brands was even like a thing. It was clothing, it was music, it was, all encompassing. And this is during that blog era in rap, where you get your Asher Roth, Mac Miller, Wale, Spitter, Wiz, like all of them. So the blog era, streetwear, Crooks and Castles, 10 Deep, Nike, like all of that was popping. So having a dope clothing line and a lifestyle brand was like our bread and butter. Then he went and bought a whole club and had a lounge. And so I was experiencing the wealth building, and I didn't even know it then. I didn't even know all of the stuff that I was doing was called entrepreneurship. I was just hustling. That's how I looked at it. And we built, great relationships from there. And then while I was in, North Carolina, I met my daughter's mother. After, a few months of courting her, she was pregnant. And my daughter was on the way. And when my daughter was born, that's when I was like, yeah, I'm definitely. So I officially dropped out of high school when my daughter was born. I wasn't really going to school anyway.
You were in high school when you were in high school when you had your daughter?
Yeah, I was 18 when my daughter's mother was pregnant. She was 19. Wow. I was 19 when she was born.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So yeah, teen dad and all of that. Yeah. So in 2009, my baby was born. My loaf of bread, and she completely changed my life. I stopped all even half. The only criminal activity I was doing was still smoking bud. I'm saying criminal as far as like, so I stopped, any and all types of illegal activity, because that as a father now, I know I didn't want my daughter to, feel anything of the things that I felt growing up. And honestly, to actually speak on that, since I was a kid, I wanted to be a husband. I never no bullshit. Like I really never, I guess because it happened to me, I never really was a fan of the bachelor life. I mean, first and is just, back then I was like 350 pounds. I was huge. I was super fat. So none of the kids, like none of the girls my age thought I was attractive. Nobody's about to date a almost 400-pound 17-year-old. That's just not shaking. You got to be funny. I had to be like super funny and all this other stuff, as opposed to when I'm ahead and a bunch of 23-year-old women, they see me, they think I'm their age and all of that. And my weight is not an issue because overweight men are in their age group. So it was like, that's just what it was. And I already had I started growing facial hair when I was like 12. So I was dealing with older women my entire life. So with that, like I always wanted to be that father that I didn't have. So I wanted a wife, I wanted children since very, very young. So when I knew that I was never going inside of another school, including college, I was like, yo, it's time to make a family. I'm a man. You know what I'm saying? My mom's, she can't beat me. You know what I'm saying? Like it's time for me to move on. So my daughter was born. We moved out. I moved out of my mom's crib. Me and my daughter's mother, we got a spot together. And then, I got into that mode. I got into responsible adult mode. And when I say that, I mean, I was doing bare minimum because I was out of my element, because a lot of the stuff that I did, a lot of the resources that I was used to at my mom's crib did not exist at my, as an adult now on my own. So, internet came real late in my crib, even though like this is 2009, 2010. Like just the amenities that that you have at your mom's crib. So I ain't gonna front. When it came to that era, I was very lazy, very crass. I did all of the bum broke stuff. I tell all youngsters this story about how I was balling out of control from 13 all the way to 18, and I finally get into a position I have to take care of somebody, like take care of a whole human, and now I'm flat. Now I'm I actually tweeted that today. I was like, how can you feel comfortable in your skin, playing video games again high all day while your lady was at work? And that's what my life was back in 2009, man. Like I used to get jobs, and because my temperament was what it was, when you got a manager talking to you all crazy like that, you lose your job fairly quickly. So I was going through jobs a lot, and I used to feel bad. I used to really feel bad, man, because I wasn't doing, like, I know where I come from. Like, yo, what's up? Where's money? You know what I'm saying? Especially when you telling your girl about all of these stories about how you was getting it and all of that. So it's like, yo, where the money at now? Like, you know what I mean? So that was a real trying time for me, and I always tell people that because I don't want you to ever believe that I was born in any type of privileged position. I was broke twice. You know what I'm saying? Like I was broke with my mom's, and then I got broke on my own. So it's like when it came to, bossing my life up, that part of my story is very important, because that's when I was at the lowest of the low. I was drinking wild Irish rose. I was smoking a pack of Newports a day. I was donating plasma. I was doing all of the bum hood shit that you could think of as a, as a dude in the hood. And, when I look back at that, I'm like, wow, that's so crazy. But, those things made me who I am today.
Mm, mm,
You know what I
mm.
mean? And what else? So yeah,
So
that's what, my daughter, she's growing up. Yeah.
so when, because if you 2008 was like when you, I can't say graduated because you didn't graduate, but like you left high school, right? It was like 2008.
Uh-huh.
So when did you bump into the HOTEPs? Me and Unc and all of that.
So I got in tune with y'all late 2013. This
2013.
is
Okay.
actually around Trayvon. This was when
Mm,
Trayvon Martin had, and just like '09 with my daughter being born and all of that. This era was a real pivotal moment in my time in my life because this is where I became, who you guys are, see today. Like you start to see the makings of Doe Doobs, Hotep, and all of that, and I was mad. I was furious. I was fuck whitey. I was white supremacy. I was angry. My wife now, which was my girlfriend at the time, used to get, because I'm over like, not making excuses about my failures, but just talking about some of the same liberal talking points that you see on the timeline today. Like, it's because of this that happened, and white supremacy is this, and this is why we can't get ahead. And I had all of these, lists of things that would tear us, that could or has or will tear us down because of an external group. And it's just after a while, for me, I don't like to complain. That's just naturally for me. I like to, find solutions. So when I got mad about Trayvon, I got mad about Mike Brown, right? My mind, like, yo, what am I going to do about this? And this is a real important point because I think a lot of people are still stuck on that first phase. There's nothing wrong with being upset when you see these videos of black men and women being abused by the state, being abused by other groups, even being abused intra-group. It's nothing wrong with being upset. However, you have to take those emotions and transmute it into something and actually create solutions. So for me, this is where I get in tune with Hotep because you were raised Hotep. So when Trayvon happened, when Mike Brown happened, you already had the mind and the sensibilities of overstanding and being able to see things for what it really was. So your tweets, just like I'm pretty sure people see my tweets, resonated with me. I'm like, yo, dude, with the dreads is stopping that shit. And it's back then you was thinkable. And I had in with the podcast and you was like, and you reminded me of cousin, my older cousin Charles. 2001, I would say that was woke one moments. Of course, the 2 hours and that stuff. So I was 7 years old when that cousin, he was like, that's an answer. You know what I'm saying?
Wait,
He
hold
opened
on.
me
Do, hold on. Let me do me a favor.
being susceptible to,
Do,
you know,
yo, can you hear me?
mm-hmm,
Do me a favor. Turn off your camera.
mm-hmm. Yeah, you
Turn off your camera because you're chopping
turn it
up, and
off.
I wanna make sure the audio comes through good because I didn't get
This
none of what you just said. So disable your camera. You should be able to do it from right within the
okay,
software.
all right. So just hide cam, is that what it is?
You said what? Yeah, there you go. Now speak up. Let me hear you. Say something.
Is that good now or
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my bad. You cut off. You said
all right?
2001. What happened?
So that yo,
Yeah.
can you,
Nope. Hello. You got to call your ISP. They throttled your bandwidth. Make sure when you get over here, you call your ISP and tell them, yo, give me my bandwidth because they like to steal it. I have to call Verizon once every 90
um,
days and tell them to give my bandwidth back. But I can hear you now. Say something. Hello? Can you hear me? He's gonna go ahead and restart. Oh yeah, hold on. Let me bring you in. That sounds crispy. Hold on. Let me bring you in. That sounds crispy. Oh, there we go. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right, that's perfect. Hold on. Let me fix your camera and turn the what's the name off? The audio on your computer. So yeah, yeah. Now we crispy. Yeah, turn your phone sideways though. Yeah, there we go. Hold on, y'all. We sounding better now. Hold on, I'm gonna turn you this way. Oh yeah, hold on. I'm just getting the screens right, y'all. Bear with me. Now we crispy. You should have came on the phone earlier. Yeah, but you gotta call your ISP like tomorrow, right? And tell them, yo, give me my bandwidth back because y'all cut my bandwidth. And I measure it. I'm every 90 days I measure it and I can see, you check your speed on the internet. You can put like internet speed or whatever. And I always tell people this. I say check your internet speed once every 90 days. Um, hold on, oh wait, that's the wrong. I'm just getting his screens right, y'all. I need you to start back over from you said 2001 you was talking to your homie and y'all was on some super woke shit. So I'm gonna have you hold on, wait, not yet, not yet. Hold on. You ain't I ain't get you in there. Hold on. I'm trying to crop your screen. Why is it doing that? All right, hold on. Hold on, y'all. You know we black, so we a little ghetto with the technology. So y'all gonna have to be patient. Don't worry. But the sound is crispy now. All right, say something though.
Yo, yo.
All right, yeah, that's perfect. So you said 2001, you was with your homie and y'all was doing something woke. What?
So yeah, my cousin Charles, my older cousin Charles, he's a few years older than me. So of course the towers were knocked down in 2001 when I was 11 years old. So of course, as 11-year old, you're not really up on any of inside jobs and the insurance scam that was already proven that already had happened. How they took out the insurance claim and stuff like that on the towers around that time. So he was telling me a lot of this stuff, and what that did as an 11-year-old, it made me susceptible to hearing things that weren't mainstream, or things that weren't going to be reported on the news, right? So this is around the same time with Michael Moore. He did Fahrenheit 9/11,
Oh yeah.
all of that. So I had that in me. I had that in the back of my mind. And not only that, my OG Hev, he was the first person, and whether it's real or not, I don't debate that, but he had me read the Willie Lynch letter. And just like I said, the susceptibility of hearing uncommon or just forbidden history, plug. That's what I've been able to be susceptible. So during this time, I find Hotep, I find Sinetta TV, I find Polite, I find all of Phil Valentine, Shaka Atmos, and everybody that ever had a microphone on 125th. Right. So now I'm going back and I'm like, oh, I'm blowing my own mind for I think 2-3 years straight, just blowing my mind like, yo, we did this and Mansa Musa and what we built towns, we created this. So in my mind, so this is how I work. It's
This
the
is this
whole
is you're talking about the discovery of revised Black history.
right. Right. Like real true black. When I started to learn all of these things, the Moors, the Moorish Americans, when I heard about, even deeper into Malcolm X's work, you feel me? Like all of those things, it blew my mind. And from then on, I no longer was angry, because I realized a lot of the stuff we have control over. Because when you are dealing with things as a victim, it's things being done to you. You're not in control. There is no control at whatsoever. And even in the way they tell Black history, Black American history specifically, you don't hear much agency. You don't hear, yo, Black woman, Black man chose to do XYZ. No, Black woman and Black man had to do XY. And that's not how true Black history is. We chose. And I know I'm not about to go the Kanye route with the whole choice in slavery, because I don't even think, even though this is an uncomfortable conversation, I don't think they even want to know or even want to digest the fact that slavery is not exactly what they told them. And a lot of that, in a nutshell, was Black American natives were already here. And
We're gonna talk about that.
contract,
Oh yes.
through contracts, they were swindled out of their land. Okay, one generation, not even one generation after slavery, a year after slavery, Black Americans owned 16 million acres of American land. That land was owned by Black Americans, period. What happens is the European immigrants came here and made deals with the natives and said, "Hey, we'll work on this land for you, and then we'll pay, pay you a stipend or pay rent. You feel me, for tilling your land." But in the fine print, this is back, like, we talk about predatory loans pretty much, fine print stuff. In the fine print of these contracts, after a certain amount of time, those European immigrants were able to have control and ownership over that land. And
Kind of
because
like
those
kind of
Black
like
Americans,
squatters' rights.
yes, the squatters' rights, absolutely. It's the what's it called? It's the Act of 1840s, the Assumption. I'm pronouncing it wrong, and if I wasn't on my phone, I would be able to look it up. But it was a law that was passed, several acts that was passed, that basically allowed these European squatters to claim native Black American lands as their own. And that's where
Mm.
you get a lot of the slavery stories. So I'm not saying that slavery didn't exist. Slavery 100% existed, but it was because they were Black Americans were swindled, not shipped from Africa. They were swindled out of the lands that they already owned, and that's how slavery, transitions into sharecropping. And another reason why you were able to pay and buy your freedom, there was money exchange. Uh, One of the historians that I really, really respect, brother Dane Calloway. He has great content. He explains it with sources, of course, and he explains it way better than me. And he shows you the documents. He shows you the laws that passed. And I even actually have, my wife and I, we went to the bookstore when we were celebrating our anniversary, and I bought a whole bunch of history books, because I don't know if you know, nobody cares about history books, despite the fact that, like, literally life-changing information is in those books. Nobody cares. So I got a whole bunch of these books, and one of the books was every law, every act that was ever passed in American history, and all of those acts are in there, and it was pretty much taking lands from the natives and giving them to European immigrants, and that's where you get slavery. That's where you get sharecropping, and that's where you get a lot of your great grandmothers, your great uncles and aunts. Always their number one asset in their mind was always land. You know what I'm saying?
So
Land
so
was
so
the
so
bread and butter.
I'm a hop in here and I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right?
Mhm.
Um, do you have the phone next to your computer?
Yes.
Move it away from your computer
Okay.
because you're getting feedback. Um, so I'm gonna play devil's advocate, right? People like to say, "Oh, even black people like to say this." Like, no, we wasn't natives. Natives are a whole separate race of people. Black people weren't the natives, right? And
Mm,
I got a lot of flack for it on when I went to Joe Rogan, right? And if you go look at my Joe Rogan interview and you look at the comments, they was trashing me, right? Everybody was with me up until that point.
mm.
So how can you definitively say that the natives was black?
So the issue comes in when they're confusing or conflating the Mongoloid phenotype Native Americans with the I guess the Negroid phenotype Native Americans. And what people don't understand is that most of the Black American natives were wiped out. You know what I'm saying? We're talking millions upon millions of people. So there is a difference in the races when it comes to Native Americans, and that's the discrepancy. Now, definitively, there is what's the name of the book? I'll 100% make sure I get the name of the book, but it does detail, because I actually have a screenshot of it on my Forbidden History page, and it tells you that in the southwest region of America, that's where the Negroid Native Americans, or originate from. That's where you get a lot of the Oklahoma and like those Middle American, Southwestern settlements in America. Uh, that's where those natives are from. Another tribe that was a mix between West African and natives was, of course, the Geechee Gullah tribe. So there is a difference between the Mongoloid phenotype Native American and the Negroid type Native American. And I'm still doing research on it. I will never be act like I'm an expert on this stuff. I'm learning every day. However, there is enough proof out there that dictates that Black Americans, by and large, are native to this country.
Um, so we got let's see. Chad Lemoyne, he said, shout out to the brother at Hans that tweeted Hotep sauce before he got his card pulled. You remember that? Blessings to Doe for helping my daughter get her gig started. No doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Congrats to your
Yeah.
daughter for getting her business started. That's wonderful. I hope she's doing great with the Bitcoin on Coinbits app as well. I know she had signed up and got some investing going. John Jay said, the fine print. That makes sense because y'all proudly didn't have a written language. So John Jay is one of our local white supremacist, white nationalist trolls. And, the white
I
man,
love it. I
the
love it.
white
And the
man
only
loves to
reason I
say
love
that,
those types of trolls is because they'll never ever be able to escape the fact that our people civilized theirs. And I will stand on that all day long. Like
uh-oh,
go back into contemporary history. Look up the Great Stink. Just
the
look
who?
up the Great Stink in Europe. Look at how England and France, Germany, all of these places didn't even have sewage systems. And we're talking about written languages. Are you kidding me? Do you know what hieroglyphs are? Do you understand that the papyruses in Egypt? We're talking about. We just finished watching a young Pharaoh debate with the guy, and, and he was talking about how there was over 14 million artifacts under the museum, all written. We were already writing on paper. So when we're talking about a written language, I mean, what are you talking about? What
Well,
exactly are you talking about? We talking about written language. Like we always had written languages.
you brought up the Great Stink, so I want to go ahead and just read from the wiki article here. And it says, the Great Stink was an event in central London August, in July and August 1858, during which the hot weather exacerbated the smell of untreated human waste and industrial effluent that was present on the banks of the River Thames. The problem had been mounting for some years with an aging and inadequate sewer system that emptied directly into the Thames. The miasma from the effluent was thought to transmit contagious diseases, and 3 outbreaks of cholera before the Great Stink were blamed on the ongoing problems with the river, so on and so forth. So
Mm-hmm.
the Neanderthal likes to say that we didn't have written language. Meanwhile, he's known for the Great Stink.
They were
Great.
literally bathing, drinking, and eating their own shit. I'm cool, G. Like we're not Hotep, but this is Hotep in here. We're not about to do. I don't have to defend melanated people here. I'm not doing that here.
I love it. I love it.
Like, what
I,
are we doing? Like, you know what I mean?
absolutely.
My screen is looking crazy. Am I looking cool to you? Am I still good?
No. You got a
Like,
lot of you got a lot of feedback, and the video is choppy.
okay. Let me try to fix this because this is out of control.
And also get a charger for your phone because I know the phone's going to start dying while you streaming live directly from it. But there is a lot of feedback popping in my ear.
Yeah, I hear that, and I'm trying to figure out why because my laptop is all the way over there now, and I only hear it when you're talking. I guess you can hear it when I'm talking.
Testing 1 2 1 2. Tap said Doe is glitching. Yeah, he's definitely glitching out. He says stop moving the phone. You're gonna bust our speakers. shout shout to sketch therapy.
Yeah,
Lies.
that's
He
so
said,
strange. I don't know why that's doing that. 'Cause I don't know how close can my computer be. Like, I don't know.
it might not
Or
be a
how
computer.
it may be something else, like another electronic device or something.
I'm not sure. You got headphones for your device?
Well, yeah, I have headphones. I'm not using them, but I have headphones.
Try to pop headphones in and see if that changes anything.
Try to use headphones.
Yeah, plug the headphones into your phone, see
All
what
right.
happens.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. John Jay, as my brother said, Hoteps do not defend our history, we will attack yours. Your history is very ugly. The history of the Caucasian, uh, from the beginning of your existence on this planet, is a very ugly one. There's beautiful parts to it. Don't get me wrong. Um, there are beautiful parts to white history. But if you wanna attack the black diaspora and say we didn't have written language, well, that's just wholly untrue. In fact, Greece for a while um, didn't have a written language, and Greece borrowed their written language from the Phoenicians, and the Phoenicians worked with ancient Egypt, and the Sumerians also had a written language. So written language was born way before Europe was born. If we're talking about written language, so
Yeah, it's such an asinine statement. It's so funny. I think because these trolls, these white conservative trolls, they really bank on those like stupid memes. Like I think he really based his comment off of that meme where the Europeans are looking at the natives and like, you had all of this time and you've only built this. You haven't, like, you idiot. Like you, we've had not only entire citadels and entire empires be built with some of the best architecture that you have ever seen and can't even replicate to this day. We're not going to get into how we did that for Europe. I don't
mm.
understand how people think that this entire world was black, but Europe wasn't. Like, so this is what I'm talking about. Your OGs is black. How about that? How about your ancestors look like me? How about that? You owe your existence to me. You're welcome. You're not about to play these games. Okay. So, what were we talking about? So yeah, so I was angry about Mike Brown. I was angry about Trayvon, and I found you guys, and I found all of the other the conscious community is what they call it. And when I found that community, honestly I was astounded. I had no reason to be upset, and I was going back to is when you blame yourself for everything and you take responsibility for everything, you actually feel whatever external power is over you now. You reclaim that. Like, yeah, that was my fault. I made that happen. I messed that up. Because when you do that and you change it, you praise yourself because that was all you too. So if it's all my fault when it goes wrong, then it means that I get all the praise when it goes right because I'm in control of it. So when I saw that, I was actually like happy. I was happy to see the coons. I was happy to see the sellouts. I was happy to see the people that that was in our community, like the William O'Neills, because then it's not just, oh, the government came after us and that was it. No, there had to have been a liaison. There had to have been a black person there to choose, who had to had the agency, which is ironic because they were agents. They had the agency and the choice to sabotage and circumvent their own community. Now, if in that same instance William O'Neill, WEB, and all of them chose black empowerment and chose to stay in 10 toes down for their community, we can actually see different things happen. When you're relentless against tyranny, when you're relentless against the state being relentless against you, the state usually buckles. And we've seen that over and over again with the Black Panther Party. Like once they started seeing that young black men and women was coming with arms and all that, that's when gun laws is they, oh, wait, these niggas not playing. So
Mhm.
when you see these choices be made, when you see the agency, when you see people actively choosing to either be for or be against their own people, then we can't just have an all-encompassing general narrative of Black American history that all of this stuff happened to us, we was done wrong, and we just dealing with it the best way we know how. Nah, there was a lot of black people, you know what I'm saying, in the interim that was, helping the oppression or helping the issues. Frederick Douglass has one of those stories where he used to see slaves literally brag about their slave master, about how smart he was, about how rich he was, how much more land and more slaves he even had, how how clever and funny he was, and they would literally fist fight over who had the best master. This is what Killer Mike was telling everybody on that panel. I don't think people caught that analogy, but that's where that comes from. Those were choices being made. You chose to, even with the institutionalization of slavery, even with all of that, you are your own being, and you chose that. You chose to fight on the behalf of your slave master. So when you start seeing that, when you start looking at history as compilation, or you know what I'm saying, a group of just choices being made over time, then you start to see things a little bit more clear. Now, when it comes to the solutions that I saw we built towns. I saw that we had our own economies. I saw that we, in certain instances, were recession proof. I saw that in certain instances we tested higher as far as scores in a lot of different areas in other communities, not just white. Um, I saw all of this excellence. And then I saw this period in time where, even with everything that was going on, it was like a huge slope down. And this is the era of the war on poverty and going into the welfare state. And there's a great documentary by Walter Williams. He's actually from North Philly. He has one. It's called Good Intentions. And it actually breaks down how the welfare state affected Black America. You know, the minimum wage literally undercutting black small businesses in the community. I talk about this a lot because it's very, very important. Back then, if you were an unskilled laborer, more than likely a 14, 15-year old, like how I was with Hev, right? They would go to a hardware store, a grocery store, your local black business in the area, go to work after school for a few hours, maybe 4 or 5 hours, do their homework, and then go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. They would get paid $1 an hour because that's what they were literally worth on paper. This is what the amount of work that you can, bring to to my business. So I pay you $1 an hour, $4 a day. Back in the 60s, 70s, that actually carried a little bit more, especially for a kid with no bills or responsibilities. So with that law coming into place, the minimum wage law, that same business owner or those same business owners they were mandated to pay those same 14, 15-year olds $4 an hour. So instead of having instead of having four black kids inside of your store working for $1 an hour, you can only have one black kid in your store for $4 an hour. So what that did was created an environment for a lot of idle time for young people. And when you have idle time, which would say the idle time is the devil, or idle hands is the devil's playground, right? So that's where you get to, even if you did have the underworld in your community, you went to work, you went to school, you was 15, you didn't have any time to get into the underworld. You feel me? Now that you're outside after school, your mom is at work, your dad may or may not be there, whatever. You can now spend a little bit more time on the basketball courts with the hustlers, and now start to adapt those same type of elements into your behavior, which turns into criminal behavior. So you have the minimum wage doing that. Then you also have the incentive of breaking up the black family. So when I say that everything is a choice, don't take that as there was nothing that the government did or the white man or external groups. It's not, they're not innocent whatsoever. However, when you have these issues, you got to look at who voted it in. Were you able to vote against all of this stuff like that is what I mean by as far as choice. But once it's passed. That just goes for the American population at that point. So these laws put in place literally cut more wealth out of black America, and it made for more destitution. It made for more crime, more death, more everything, more of the worst stuff. So we have incentivized, like we were literally incentivized to live in poverty. We were literally told that this is the way to live. You need to depend on us for food. You need to, food stamps. You need to depend on us for shelter, Section 8. You need to depend on us for work, Job Corps. You need to depend on us for all of for your education, public education system. This is the era where you see why, the projects and the victim mentality and all of the poverty mindset takes place. No other community was incentivized to be broke. They were told to you that, yo, it's actually better to not have your husband in the house. It's actually better to work this job that was, given to you by being locked up for 6 months in a job corps. It's actually better for you to get your food from SNAP instead of you, going out and earning your own keep. And so now you have 3, 4 generations who have been living under this regime. That's really what it is. You're living under this regime. So when it comes down to gentrification, something that is supposed to be good, and of course, in general, it's supposed to be good, developing your neighborhood. But because you don't have any sense of ownership, and because you've been renting, because you have been, pretty much biding your time this entire time, you don't have any frame of reference for owning anything. So when it comes down to cleaning up outside, when it comes down to, being accountable for your neighbor and being accountable for your community, you don't own it. I don't care. I'm gonna spray paint. I'm gonna piss. I'm gonna throw trash. I'm gonna do whatever I want because I don't own it. And as a matter of fact, my landlord is a slumlord, and I hate him. So even when he about to evict me, I'm about to mess up the walls in here. So it's not just like I'm keeping the same energy. You know what I'm saying? I'm keeping the same energy outside my house and inside my house. I do not care. So what happens is this is where, vote for Biden or else, and all this is where all of that comes from. Because the relationship between Black America and the government has always been parental. It's always been, a supervisor's role. It's always been, we are right there. We're your overseers. We're going to make sure. And if you've noticed, anytime that a Black person talks to a professional, like white person, there's a certain aura, there's a certain energy that they have to emit to show that they're worthy of this conversation. And that's the dynamic, the power dynamic that I speak of. There's an inferiority that comes into when you're dealing with caseworkers and people, prying into your life. Is it a man living in your house? How much money did you make this month? And these are white people. So when you look at a white person in a suit, you automatically like put that authority over them. You automatically put that authority on them, rather, where you just are susceptible to whatever they tell you. I can tell you personally, I did this. This is why I can tell you. And I was 19, and we were, applying for welfare and all of that other stuff. And I was sitting in the welfare office with my daughter's mother, and I had to sit there and listen to, because this is, of course, we had to do what we had to do and all this other stuff. So we told them that I wasn't in her life and that I was, never going to, not never, but I was barely there. We had to pretty much tell them how broke we were and how terrible of a father that I was for her to get help, as opposed to us being a young couple needing a little bit of assistance to get us on our feet. No, I had to literally remove myself out of the equation, literally sit there as if I didn't exist just so my daughter's mother could get some food stamps. Like this is not some, Hotep conspiracy. I literally lived it. You feel me? I've seen it in real life. I've seen it in real time. My mother had to deal with that too. I seen that in the 90s. And, so when I see this, I see those women talk to those people in such a not it was disheartening to see that they had to pretty much shrink themselves. Because when I talk to them privately, they confident. They, I'm about to go to work. I got this going on. But when it comes time to talk to these figures in these offices, it was always subservient. It always was, coming off as a subordinate, as opposed to the strong women that I've seen, the strong men that I've seen. So when I see that relationship, that's where I feel like a lot of people get confused. I feel like they confuse Black inferiority with white supremacy. I personally feel that way. And I think that once people started to learn what I learned, that we come from not just kings and queens, but scholars, doctors, scientists, inventors, shaman, spiritual leaders, astrologists, astronomers. Like we have a lineage of different everything going on. So it's not just kings and queens, but kings and queens in their own right. You feel me? Once you started to learn that, there is no inferiority. There's no like a troll online, telling me that there's no written language when you know that there is, when you know for a fact that ancient Egypt is literally like the New York of the world, that there's our empire, that empire stretched the entire planet, that you find Egyptians in Australia, you find Egyptians in America, you find Egyptians in Asia, you find them all over the world because that's the influence that Black Americans, ancient African Americans, ancient Africans had over the planet. So there's no way that I could feel inferior about myself, about my people, because I was taught that. Now, if a child was taught that since 10 years old, they don't have that issue. They don't even want to be involved with welfare. They don't want to be involved in feeling like they needed a leg up from somebody else. They just gonna go based upon what they know, what my ancestors did. You understand? So when I talk to people, look up, Mound Bayou. You know what I'm saying? Isaiah Montgomery, how he built an entire town, put a bunch of Black men on a train and told them, like, yo, this is all swampland. You don't see no town. However, you've been working on them lands for the white man to build up their own empires. So you're gonna look at this swampland, you're gonna see all of this dirt and grass and trees, and you may not see the city right now, but this will be a city soon. And sure enough, in just 5 years' time, an entire town was built. Mound Bayou, Mississippi, and that was one of 60 plus towns that happened during that era. So once children learn that, once they learn that, even contemporary history, just just a few hundred years ago, this is what we was doing. This is not some thousands and thousands of years ago stuff that was on a hieroglyph. No, this is stuff that's you can this photograph stuff. There's actual footage of Black Wall Street. You feel me? So once the kids know this stuff, then I feel like Black American pride, Black American prosperity, Black American wealth, Black American triumph overall will become more mainstream.
So, what it sounds like to me is um, the most devastating thing that happened to the Black community was socialism, right? You know, you have
Yeah.
um, unemployment. It seems like it skyrockets after minimum wage, right? So, you know, minimum wage is an argument that happens all the time nowadays in the political scene or whatever. And Black people are like, oh my God, we need minimum wage. We need minimum wage. And I don't think they understand the impact that has on small business, right? They always think, when they think about corporations, they think about large corporations. And it's just like
Hmm.
the word corporation doesn't mean large millionaire. You know, the Hotep Nation's a 501c. It's technically a corporation, right? Like it's a
Yeah.
corporation, right? And so they don't understand these things. But what they don't understand is that the minimum wage doesn't hurt the big guy. The big guy can pay minimum wage. They don't care about minimum wage. The big guy likes minimum wage because it keeps the little guy from coming up and
Right.
competing with him. Because the little guy,
That's what it's actually that's what the whole Amazon $15 an hour thing was about. You
mm,
feel me? Amazon is able to compete because of their business model. And they had no problem have no problem raising the their wage to $15 an hour because they can afford it. They make money, hand over fist, and they have the money to afford that. However, their competitors don't. So when they say, "Hey, yeah, we're taking the stand and we're going to pay our employees $15 an hour, and also we're lobbying for everybody else to do the same," they're just knocking out the competition. You understand? So that's what that is, and nobody sees the play. Everybody just wants big bad billionaire to give all of his money away, and he
yeah,
has no problem doing that because he knows that first of all, I'm getting all this money back anyway. Like there's no week out of the day that you don't think about shopping on my website. So I trust and believe whatever money I give you, you're going to give it right back. That's off rip. And then secondly, when it comes to my competitors, they can never pay y'all $15 an hour. I got robots in here doing most of this shit anyway. So it's like I don't have to worry about paying nobody $15 an hour. Like to mention how many people are already getting rich just off of Amazon itself. People who are making money just selling things on Amazon. Not to mention AWS. Those certs, they start off at six figures. They
mm,
start your entry level cloud computing, cloud security. They starting you off at a buck 20 a year. You feel me? Just to get this, once you get the cert, you in there. Me personally, I was not. I tried to get my cert on. It's not. I'm not that technical. You know what I'm saying? I tried. It was like when I first opened the book, it was a study guide. I needed a study guide for the study guide. I was like, okay, yeah, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna stick to what I know, and that's sales. I can sell. That's what I do. That's why I love affiliating for businesses that I rock with and stuff like that. I love selling stuff that I make and create, and my wife and my daughters and stuff like that that they create. That's what I do. I've always been, the pitch man. I've always been the front man, and I'm cool with that. But this is the economy of Amazon. That's what they do. So they have no issues with the minimum wage. But yes, it 100% kills small businesses.
yeah, that kills me, man. When I'll say, people is trolling, right? But I'll say something like, "We got to get rid of minimum wage," and I'll
Hmm.
get attacked by Black people. And they're like, "Oh, you coon, you this, you that," and I'm like, "Y'all really have no idea how correct
So,
you are."
oh my god, because
Yeah.
it's so backwards. And Sunny Johnson, I love her so much because she gave me this lesson. I think she gave it to you via me, or she gave it to me via you rather. And she was telling you about how the Boule back in the day were being wooed by Soviet Russia and other socialist countries in Europe. So black people who haven't left the country before are finally, their parents are well to do. They go to college. This is the Boule class. This is what you would call the blavity or the brunch blacks that we see, the blue checks. The blue. So I'm going to actually frame it in 2020 so everybody can understand the historical context. So blue check marks are being invited out to socialist countries and being wooed. Now you remember the video that you put me on to of the ex KGB uh uh
Yuri, Yuri,
what's his
Yuri,
name? Benoff?
Yuri Bezmenov.
Yeah. And he said that, that's what his main job was, to deceive. He would invite the press. He would invite all the, they would invite the press to, his country. They would show him a good time, keep him drunk the entire time, have a great time. And they only show the reporters and the journalists what they wanted them to see. So when the Black Americans went out there, they was getting love and hugs and, oh my God, we can't, you're so exotic. And, this is the means of production. This is how we got our factories. And we feel like, with all of the capitalist white stuff that's going on in your country, this may be the system for you. And, so Black American blue checks are coming back to America like, yo, this capitalism shit is a dub. We need to get with this socialism shit. We need to get with the communist shit because we own the means of production. We're the worker. We're the lower class. We're this. We're that. And it wasn't, like Sonny said, it wasn't so much that it was a Democrat or the Democratic Party. It was just that Woodrow Wilson and all the way down, your Lyndon B. Johnsons and things of that nature, they were speaking that socialism shit. They were talking about programs that were supposed to give you all of this money. And this is where they get welfare. So, and it's so funny because every time that Black people, it's like the genie thing, like the whole semantics with the genie. Like you'll wish for something, but the genie will give it to you, like literally how you asked for it.
Yeah.
So you wanted socialism, we gave you welfare state. You wanted representation matters, and now we give you 12 years a slave and the help and the butler and all of that's what you want us to do. This is our version of help. Our
Yeah.
version of help is putting you on minimum wage, putting you in on government housing, and giving you food stamps and a block of cheese and a box of kick cereal. Our version of media representation, even though you guys had Sparks and Sparks, who was a Black family owned law firm, Girlfriends, which was 5 women who were all professionals, lawyers, doctors and stuff like that. The Cosby's, that all was Black owned, Black created stuff. Now we in the era of Oscar so white and Black Rose lead, and now you got all these pandering ass roles and all of this social commentary is what they call it. We don't even have entertainment anymore. None of our movies are just entertainment. It's all an allegory for some shit. It's always got to be a lesson or some shit. We just can't have a sci-fi movie where we doing some fly shit. Nah, we got to be able to tell a story or fucking guilt white people into not being racist anymore and shit like that. Or we got to throw jabs at Trump every other scene and shit. Like we can never just have a fun show. I don't remember any time in my childhood where it was so much political propaganda in my shows. A Different World, Cosby Show, Girlfriends. Like I said, my mom's used to watch this. The show was hilarious. Will is hilarious. Like the entire shows that I watched during that era was just nothing but confident Black people. There were none of them were subservient. Malcolm and Eddie, they literally owned a bar, a booming bar. You
Mm,
feel me? And now
mm.
we got reality shows and a bunch of people telling us that representation matters and the Oscars is so white. I don't remember my favorite actors and actresses caring about this type of stuff. You feel me? Like it wasn't an issue for me. And then even come on, like Jada Kiss, like when he said on Wild, like with Halle Berry, having to have sex with Billy Bob Thornton and then Denzel with
Why white man
had
had to
had to
cop her to get an Oscar
get an Oscar, yeah. And why Denzel had to be crooked before he
before he
took it.
took
So
it?
it's like, so that's what y'all want. This is what y'all want. This is how y'all want to be represented by people who don't want to even respect you. You understand what I'm saying? So when we talk about representation matters, yeah, from you, not from them. They have the worst version of you in their mind. They have, oh, despite the fact that my mom was on crack, my dad left, and and that I'm stupid and I have a third grade education, I still made it, and I proved to the white man that I was just as good as him. Yay. Like, fuck out of here, man. No. Let's get more Black law firms. Let's get more spy movies. How about that? Let's get some more Black spy movies. Can we get that? Instead of making a Black James Bond, let's just make a fucking spy movie. Like, shit like that is what I'm saying. If we want representation, it should be through ownership, not through jobs. You know what I'm saying? Like, so even though I don't jack any of his films, Tyler Perry is doing it the right way. He may not be giving the content that I like, but at least he owns it. At
Mm.
least it's coming out of the Tyler Perry studios.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? And then at that point, again, we can get right back into the agency choosing. You can go to him, go to his studio, and make whatever black empowerment film that you want. You don't have to make a Tyler Perry type film.
Yeah.
Go to his studio, use his stuff instead of begging Netflix, instead of begging Hulu, instead of begging the Oscars. Go to the black billionaires. Go to the people who have these things now. And this is what I'm saying. I don't know if you noticed, but before Hollywood became Hollywood, Black Americans had movie studios, recording labels, record labels, all of this stuff. We had all of it. And then, of course, because in the era of integration and all of that other stuff, white men ice being colder. Now we're being circumvented, of course, being bought out by all of these redacted owned record labels and stuff like that. So our jobs and our roles in the ownership of our media is being taken away and being sold away. Everybody knows about the story of Jackie Robinson, where he could have stayed in the Negro League. He chose to go play for the, you know what I'm saying, to the Dodgers because that was going to be a monumental moment for Black American athletes and blah, blah, blah. I'm not jacking any of that. Black own everything from top to bottom, vertical integration from top to bottom. I need the farms and I need the stores all the way down there supply chain. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's what my representation matters at. Not getting a role in a movie that's so huge and it's going to do billions of dollars or whatever. So now we get the Disney bag and Black Panther, Panda, and all this other stuff. I'm cool with all of that.
Yeah.
Give me a black superhero, fine, but give me something that's original from my culture. Because when you giving me sanitized blackness like that, where you got little weird scenes like what are those and all that, we wouldn't put that in a black movie. We would not. And if we did, we would have shoehorned it in a way better way than that. You feel me? It's not natural. When I look at blackness on Netflix and I look at blackness on the silver screen, I don't see myself. I see the sanitized white liberal version of what they think I am.
Uh,
You feel me? And that's why I can't jack that. So
uh,
that's why I go so hard for black ownership, go so hard for black group economics, because we did it before. We everything that I'm asking Black America to do or I'm expecting of Black America, we did it already. This is nothing new. We owned everything that we wanted already. We made the street light. Show me American society without the street light. I literally have to buy a new AC. That's why I'm sweating. Show me a country. Show me America without the AC. A black man invented that. The street light, the component that what is it? Oh my God. The component for the shoe, the bottom of your shoe, was created by a black man. The
uh,
soles of your feet, you feel me, are protected because of a black man.
uh,
There is no black America. There is no America without black America.
uh,
Facts. America will be a third world country, if that, if black Americans weren't here first, showing them the way. That's a fact. We want to talk about uncomfortable conversations. I'm gonna say it again. The United. Cause I don't know if this. I want to make sure I'm clear. The
yeah.
United States of America would be a third world country if it were not for Black America. Fact.
Woo! 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 Somebody tweet that out. Somebody tweet that out. Um, I'm watching this show, The Shy, right? You know me. I was. Why'd you laugh like that?
Because this is how we do. And anytime you call me, this is you get me started, and it's like, come on, son.
So, I take life a little too serious. So I've forced myself to sit down and watch Netflix shows, right? So I'm
Mm,
watching The Order, which is like werewolves and vampires and magicians or some shit. And then I
mm,
watch I watch The Shy, right? So I'm all caught up in The
okay.
Shy, right? Now I'm listening to this episode of The Shy, and a black kid gets killed by a cop, right? You know that story.
Mm. As they
And
do a lot now in these shows, but go ahead.
right. So the father's on he's on the screen and he's like, I can't believe they killed my son. Da, 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 da. And he's talking. And then the scene changes, but you hear in the background, Donald Trump. It's like, it was like, it was like, it was like somebody inserted an audio clip like after the scene as it's segueing into a different video, right? But it was like
Mm,
when it was his voice, but it was like the Donald Trump. didn't even fit with what he was talking about. It was like, I'm tired of these cops killing us, Donald Trump. And it was just like, wait, that's not even a whole sentence. He was talking like
I'll
how
do you one better. The latest Purge movie.
okay.
They turned that into an entirely social commentary, black narrative. So
Mm,
you already know what the Purge was,
yeah.
right? The first movie was phenomenal. We loved it or whatever. The second one, nah. But the one that they recently dropped a couple years ago, it was based in Staten Island, and what it was called the first Purge. Like this is supposed to be like what the Purge that started it all. You know what I'm saying? And the origins of the Purge, according to the canon of the movie, was that it was an experiment on black people to
Mm,
exterminate them.
wow.
So the whole basis of the movie was to pretty much have the Purge wipe poor black people, wipe have them wipe each other out. You feel me? So that way they wouldn't have to do it, right? So I guess it's like an allegory for like the government and stuff like that, police brutality and mass incarceration, all of those things. Luckily enough, or funny enough, none of the black residents of Staten Island wanted to participate in the purge, except this one crackhead who was bullying the main character's um, little brother. So the main character is a feminist, curly hair, afro. They love that aesthetic for black women. They love like medium tone black women with that curly fro. I don't know what their fetish is with that, but they watch any show with a black woman in on Netflix or anything like that. You're going to find a light skinned woman with a curly fro.
Yeah.
Like this is always guaranteed.
Yeah.
So she's a feminist and she's against all of the stuff going on. Of course, she's the more masculine one. For some reason, black women are way more masculine than black men in so many movies. She's the older sister, the younger brother. He's literally being punked by a crackhead, fam. He's being bullied by a crackhead. I've lived in the hood my entire life. I have never been bullied by a crackhead. Ever. But this young black man is, and it's like he's like a super fiend, apparently. So he's the only one at this point participating in the purge. She's not. She's against it, and she's like they introduce her in the movie as a protester. You feel me? It's like she's protesting. She's super, pissed up and stuff like that. Then they got the dark skinned evildoer, of course, in all these movies. He's a drug dealer with a heart of gold. Um, and nobody's participating in the purge. So, because nobody's participating in the purge, or no black person is participating in the purge, these people literally ferry in the KKK. They ferry in the literal Nazi, like they were literally wearing Gestapo uniforms, fam, from a ferry. They ferried them in onto Staten Island, and then they had them incite the purge. This is now the origin of the purge. That it was just an experiment on black people, and they turned the entire movie into social commentary. Now, within the movie, of course, she's escaping the main character, the main female character. She's escaping certain pitfalls and stuff like that. In one of the scenes, he was walking and this dude in the sewers grabbed her leg and he was grabbing her close and he almost got to her crotch and she kicked him and got him off of her, right? And out of nowhere, she says, "Get the fuck off me, you pussy grabbing motherfucker." And I was just like, oh my God, son. How, son? You created this one scene just so you can throw a jab at Trump G. Like, this is what they do. And they use us for it. We're the good old Democrats, you feel me? And that's why I'm saying we can't even enjoy our own movies without being reminded that you're supposed to hate Trump. Remember that. You black. He's racist. Like, dog, can we just watch a movie about people being murdered for no reason? Like, come on, son. That's my thing.
And
Why does everything. Yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, I really want white conservatives to understand. They're like, why black people hate Trump so much? Da 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 da. They don't understand the amount of brainwashing our community is under, and how much indoctrination we've been under.
Oh my God, man! It's like so you've already gone viral off that statement about Joe Biden being able to say whatever he wants about black people and nothing happening to him,
Yeah,
and it's true. It's so true, fam. And one of the things that I learned a little while back was when the congressional, the CBC voted in the crime bill, right? And when I read the Baltimore Sun article it was August of 1994. So I was reading it, and fam, if maybe I interpreted it wrong, but it sounded like they voted for the crime bill. Excuse me. They voted for the crime bill because they wanted to keep a Democrat in office. They wanted to keep Clinton. In the article, they said the CBC saved Clinton's presidency.
Mm.
Think
Wow.
about that. Like, it was because black people participated and chose agency. Remember, agency. They chose to back the Democrat. And it was the same never Trump attitude that we cannot have a Republican in office. I don't care that we're literally signing up millions of black Americans to go to prison for next to nothing. My father, or you know what I'm saying, my sister's father got booked in 94. Did a dime. You feel me? Did a long time in prison. I didn't see him until I was 13 years old.
Mm.
You feel me?
Mm.
Because of this crime bill. Like, I'm directly, again, it's not just some Hotep talking out of his neck. This is my life. My pops was booked over nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean, of course, relative. Of course, it wasn't he was just walking down the street and they just sent him to jail for 10 years. But for what he did, he definitely wasn't supposed to get no 13 years for it.
Mm.
So when I'm seeing this and you doing this under the guise of, oh, we got to be Democrats, or we got to make sure there's no racist Republicans coming in to the office. And then you literally in the article, they said they got nothing in return. They got nothing in return. As a matter of fact, it cost them billions of dollars out of crime prevention programs. So not only did you sign in a crime bill that made it much harder for the inmates that were in prison to get out of prison because of infractions or whatever that was on their record. It made it much easier to get in prison because they took away the crime prevention programs. The programs, again, the same thing with the minimum wage. They took away something that was actually helping black youth from going that route. They took it away. Not only did they take it away, they took 6 billion from it. So we celebrated because my cousin was actually one of the people that was, on the board to negotiate that NYPD reform, and they took the $1 billion away from him. They took 1 billion, and you see NYPD been acting that ass ever since. Imagine taking 6 billion from a program that was supposed to keep black youth out of jail in the first place. You feel me? Not only did so that's what happened in the year 1994, and this was again choice. Told you voted that in. That was like the epitome of a choice. You voted it in. You see what I'm saying? All because you did not want to have a Republican president. So this
Mm.
is not just Trump. This never Trump attitude is not just Trump. It could have literally been any popular Republican that resonated with not only whites but blacks as well. Any Republican that would have penetrated that demographic to even make the other side think about rocking with him, they would have attacked the same. They would have used the same tactics. Donald
Mm.
Trump, he's an insert name. If I'm looking at it from the political economic standpoint, it's about domination. It's about making sure you keep your because I don't even like that slave plantation analogy. It gets on my nerves. But you just want to make sure that your subservients are staying subservient to you. And all you have to do, you don't have to ever be better. You just have to show that they're worse.
Mm.
That's it.
Mm.
That's all you
Mm.
have to do. You have to just show the other side is way worse than we are.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, if you actually got to a real honest conversation with a Democrat who's not going to, bullshit you. He'll be like, yeah, man, we're racist. We're racist as hell. We created the KKK. No bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yes, we are racist as hell. However, what are you going to do about it? As a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, that's exactly what Woodrow Wilson said to the black boule once they got swindled after voting for him. He said, if the Negro made a mistake in voting for me, then he should do something about it.
Mm.
And nobody has done anything about it since those days. And that's what we're seeing. It's just a political monopoly, a psychological, a ideological monopoly. And it's not even like that. And I don't know if you noticed, black people are not Democrats. I mean, they're not liberal at all. Literally, 87%. I looked it up. It's a Pew Research article. I'll link it at, when I remember. You feel me? But that literally 87% of black Americans identify as conservative,
Mm.
but they vote Democrat. Think
Mm.
about it. We don't get that. I think you posted that video of the young lady in the street breaking down black culture is conservative. Look at, all of the videos and not videos, excuse me, the media that it resonated with us. Like, she already broke down the Uncle Phil's and, all of that. But we always liked Joe Clark. We always liked Bill Cosby. We always liked They call it respectability politics, but what's wrong with being respectful or being respectable? You feel me? I say like these things that they try to champion is degenerate, and then the things that they try to shit on is the stuff that you want to be. You don't want to be a doctor married to a lawyer. You don't want to be wealthy. You don't want to have a big ass house in Bel Air. You don't. That's not what you want. You want to be what? Like you want to be the kid from the hood, and then now look at it. Look at all these kids that come from the burbs that want to act like they from Chicago, and they actually from the hood and all this other shit. That like that's an aesthetic now. I see little white kids now popping off at the lip on TikTok wearing all types of hoop earrings and all this other stuff. And it's just funny to me because I remember because I grew up in the burbs and I grew up in the hood. So I remember when I was in the burbs and my black neighbors, they couldn't listen to the music that I was listening to. They couldn't wear the clothes. They couldn't wear platinum FUBU. They couldn't wear Fat Farm. They couldn't, you know what I'm saying? They couldn't wear Sean John. You feel me? They had to wear Oshkosh. You feel me? They had to wear French toast. And those brands is high too. But there wasn't the swag. So now it's just like the prude girl or the girl that was, had the overbearing parent the whole time that she was a kid, and she finally gets to college and she gets to break out and freak out. You feel me? While she's on campus. Same thing with these black kids. They never got to be blackness, right? So now they got to relive Martin. They got to relive all of these '90s sitcoms that I'm totally over. You feel me? Like I lived
Yeah,
it. I watched it every Friday with my family as a unit because we really black out here.
yeah.
But not nah, that's a joke. Y'all really black too. I'm just joking. But kinda. But when it comes to that culture stuff, I don't they needed to, it was only until college to where they can wear their, Howard University crew necks and they can watch A Different World and all of that stuff. And now all of that stuff, like my cousins, they went to, HBCUs. You know what I'm saying? My older cousins, they went to the college in the 90s. I saw pictures of the college parties and all of that, the real black college culture. You feel me? I saw all of that. I lived all of that stuff. I was sneaking on the campus when I was 15. My sister, I was sneaking onto them campuses, lean back in the chair and all of that stuff that, slide past security booths. And I'm chilling with a bunch of college girls at 14, 15 and all of that. Shout out to Johnson and Wales, Brown University. You feel me? I was shaking it up out there in Rhode Island. And so with all of that, they go to college and now all of a sudden they super pro black because they never got to experience it naturally. My sister was able to wear hoop earrings and updos. My aunts and all of them had the swoops and the up. They had all of that. My entire life, they had the what's that black and gold outfit that the women had? They always had. They had the shells and all of that. They didn't have to hide that. They wore that to work. Like in the black church, forget about it. Ask any person that grew up in New York's black church in the early to late '90s. They gonna tell you it was a fashion show. You feel me? And even in that, Black American culture, oh my God, the black church, as much as I, have my issues with it, you can't take that away. That's where you get all your greatest singers from. That like all of this is where I come from. I didn't have to, learn about this from a retweet. So yeah, I may have not learned the conscious stuff, but all of the culture, oh my God, the music, the fashion, the movies, all of the movies that they don't even tell you about, like, Tales from the Hood and Woo. I'm pretty sure nobody even watched Woo before. Y'all know who Woo is? Y'all don't know who Woo is. You feel me? But y'all know if y'all watch all Monsters Ball though. You feel me? Like that's where I come from. I come from broke Jamie Foxx. I come from Booty Call. You feel me? That's the movies that I was watching.
Yeah,
Shout out to everybody who came up real Friday nights with your family going to buy these black films, man. And look at the credits too. Go back and look at the credits of those movies and see how many black names were producers, directors, writers, screenplay written by all black people, yo.
I, I
Now
was
we got
I was
hmm?
I was I was talking to somebody who's popular in Black Twitter, and I mentioned the name John Singleton, and they said to me over the phone, "Who's that?" After I
Fire for you.
after I said, Joe, I can't really consider these people black to me because they don't even know who John Singleton is. And as soon as I say that, she go, "Who's John Singleton?" And I started naming the movies, and this person's like, "Yo, I didn't ever saw that. I never saw this. I never saw that. I never saw this." Like
Yo.
they never saw Jason's Lyric.
Yo, you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? Because like you gotta understand. Did y'all see Vampire in Brooklyn? Like, oh my
Vampire in
God, like,
Brooklyn.
oh my God, like this is what I'm
Read the bullet.
saying. We had
Read the bullet.
real when he was the preacher. It's hot in here. Oh shit. You feel
Ass,
me? Like,
ass is good. Evil is good. Head to toe, grease,
yes.
evil ass. Woo!
Yo, it's 11 o'clock. I gotta be quiet. But yo, that's where I come from. I came
Yeah,
from watching that. And I ain't gonna front. Tyler Perry was there too. We had them plays popping in the living room too. We had the plays popping,
it was on
Diary of a
VHS.
Mad Black Woman. I could do bad by myself. Oh, yeah, yeah. I was a fan of Tyler Perry in the early because he made my mother laugh. You know what I mean? You get to watch the plays and then I get to, watch Vampire in Brooklyn. You feel me? I get to watch Tales from the Hood. I get to watch Menace to Society. I get to watch Don't Be a Menace. I get, you know what I'm saying? It's like, that's another thing. Like the Wayans, like outside of
Wayne.
our culture, like, yo, son, they should be like the Baldwin to us. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hate doing the white black comparisons, but I'm just saying, like, they should be held up. And the Wayans brothers, what they did for the culture, like, and I mean the real culture, not this bullshit that they call the culture, like real Black American culture. Because parody movies and all of that stuff, nobody could do it like them, man. And like in Living Color, like Jim Carrey still pays homage to the Wayans brothers because without them, there is no Jim Carrey.
There's no Jim
You see
Carrey.
what I'm saying? There's no Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey. There is no James Carrey without Keenan Wayne. You feel me? Like that's impactful. You understand? So when we talking about what we come from,
There's
that's
no
where I
J
come from.
Lo. There's no J Lo.
There's no J Lo, Fly Girl. Like, come on, what my nigga Jamie Foxx used to say? Hey ho, like, and I probably don't even get that reference. You know what I'm saying? My
Yeah.
nigga Jamie Foxx was doing stand up. Did y'all watch Delirious? Like, come on, man. Oh man, did y'all watch You So Crazy?
Uh,
Like,
uh,
I come from Def Comedy Jams. I come from Comic View. Like, I come from BT Uncut. Like, I'm real Black American over here. Man.
house
Like, the
party.
culture's.
House
Come
party.
on now,
Kid and
talk to
play.
him, son. Bebe's kid. You
Baby
understand?
is
We don't die. We multiply.
Harlem
You
Nights.
feel me? Harlem Nights. Come on, man. Sugar Ray. Sugar
Oh,
Ray. Come on. So it's like when you talk like I'm gonna get you sucker, like when you start going to my OGs, my uncle, forget about it. We going to coffee, coffee brown, god damn it, Pam Grier, all her joints. You feel me? All of the Sidney Poitier and Bill Cosby. Like I'm real deal with this shit. You feel me? Like
I got
I
one
come
for
from
you.
Mongo Slave.
I got one for you. Fresh.
Mm. Oh nigga.
Fresh.
Esteban. Esteban.
I
What? Come on now. I busted stupid moves.
busted
What?
stupid dope moves.
What? Come on, son. Niggas, yo, listen to me. You about to have me niggering up a storm ahead. Relax. You get me in my bag, son. That's where I come from, son.
Yeah,
That's where I come from.
that was representation at its
That's
best.
representation. And you see, think about this. Okay, so now we y'all got a whole bunch of homework to do if y'all ain't seen these movies. So, but for talking to you, bro, when you look at those movies and you see the stories, we had sci-fi, Vampire in Brooklyn. We had the crime dramas, Fresh, NYPD Blue was no, not NYPD Blue, New York Undercover,
New York Undercover.
Malik
Thank you.
Yoba,
Yes.
Malik Yoba them. We had the crime dramas. We had relationship and the family, family matters and Cosby. We was so versatile. Now every black character is the same. You got the beta black man, the extra super strong masculine black woman, and that's it. That's all
And,
we
well,
get.
and
And
the gay relationships.
of course, the gay interracial relationship.
Matter of
Because even
fact,
they can't sell.
Matter of fact, I was watching The Order, right? And this is like a white show, I guess, right? And the
Mm,
one of the werewolves is a chick, and she's messing around with one of the white dudes that's another werewolf, right? And she's like racially ambiguous. I think she's like more like Asian or something like that, or Asian white
mhm.
mix. Season two, she's in a relationship with a woman, and the woman is a black woman with an afro.
I told you.
And my
I told you.
and my girl, like, she like, yo, wait, how she end up in this relationship? That don't even make no sense. And it's like, how did this black girl get introduced into this relationship? Now it's like, and the same thing with the Shy. In the Shy, you will not see one heterosexual relationship that's healthy. Matter of fact, you got the preacher black father. You don't even see his wife. The one girl who's got an afro, The little girl that's in high school has an afro. You see her daddy, he's a politician. Never see her mother. But the protagonist, little boy, his mother is a lesbian, and you see a lot of that relationship. So they that's the
So check this
representation
out.
you're gonna get.
I was at my man crib Sunday. You feel me? And we was just kicking it or whatever. And he just so happened to have the Shy on. So I
Mm,
watched about 3 hours of the show. And
okay,
this was the season where Shorty was kidnapped.
okay, that's a new season.
Did you see that? I don't want to spoil it for you.
I see. I'm
Did you
all,
see
I'm
that?
all caught up. I'm all caught
All
up.
right, so she got kidnapped, of course, by a black man, which is not an
Black.
issue. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? If we did, because I got to keep the same energy, because if we're talking about in the '90s, there was black, it would have been a black antagonist, right? So
Right.
not an issue there. Um, but then I saw the way that how you described that. I didn't see any of the positive relationships, as far as that. And I did see how they made even the masculine energy from the lesbian woman wrong. Every time that she tried to, help the girl and get her to, move on, they made her feel like they basically say like, because they're going to replace the man with the woman. That's what they did. And I
Right.
mean, and it's all due respect to lesbians out there, you feel me? But
Absolutely.
that's what they did as far as the show. That's what they did. And they just used a female to, convey the masculine energy.
Right.
So all of the masculine energy was wrong. You feel me? Every time that the lesbian, the more masculine lesbian suggested a solution, they were all solutions. You feel me? I didn't agree with the whole packing up the room thing. That was a little bit too much to me personally. But let's talk to her. Let's get her out the room. Let's not enable her to fester in that. Mental illness only gets worse if you let them fester. So let's engage her. Let's try to get her help. Let's try to do these things. And not only did Shorty the wife disagree, she like kicked her out over it and like was like fuck, what I'm saying? I'm like damn. And then there was just certain elements when the young guy was getting their cards read or their future being told or whatever, and like his dick was the issue and all this, and her
Yeah.
pussy is not. I'm just like Jesus Christ. And then yeah, of course the crooked politician, and then the mom of the politician is like a crooked woman and all this other stuff. And then the wife of the politician cheated on him with a lesbian that the mom said. I'm like, yo, son, what is what is this? What are we doing right now? You feel me? So it's like when we get in, it's like it's enough. It's a mess. I feel like it's a lot of mess. Instead of just having, and I'm not saying you got to recreate the '90s. I'm just saying along those same lines. Let's give us a solid plot. Let's give us some real actors. Let's give some real real life situations that can be going on. Rape, kidnapping, and stuff like that going on in the inner cities. 100%. We already talked about that. We was talking about that back when nobody was talking about that. And I'm not trying to be presumptuous or pretentious when I say that. I'm saying as far as like I remember when the Atlanta girl traffic and stuff was going on, and we was like sounding the alarm. We were going super hard, and that was like 2-3 years ago.
And they
We
was
were
ignoring
all
us. And they was ignoring
yes,
us. The missing DC girls. Remember the missing DC girls? We made a big
Missing
stink about
DC
that.
girls, the Missing Atlanta girls. Yeah, we was talking about that since day one. You feel me? Once we got it on our radar. You feel me? When we talking about like we've been talking about stuff like Open Secret and all of that. We've been covering pedophilia and all this other stuff and all of its connections. Let's just be honest. So when it comes to all of that, I do feel like those images because I'm a real deal, just like I'm real deal Black American culture. I'm a real deal '90s baby. TV raised me. I will never act like it didn't. I sat in front of that idiot box my entire life, as far as the '90s go, until I got older and I was really outside with a purpose and all of that. TV raised me, and the stuff that I saw was dope. I saw Fresh and all the stuff that we was watching. That's what I saw. I saw black lawyers. I saw black professionals. I saw black idiots. I saw black everything. You feel me? It was all encompassing. Now, what do the kids see? Victim, victim. You know, only a victor if I'm associated with white, or I, one up a white person in the scene, or try to tell or clap back a white person or whatever. Like that's where our pride comes from. We got to make the white people feel it. And that's never been what it was. It was never about proving to white people that we were equal, proving to white people that we needed to be treated, the same or anything. It was about us showing us on screen. we wanting to put ourselves on. It was the Wayne's brothers, the oldest Wayne, looking out for his younger brothers and sisters and making sure that he kept them out of trouble and put them in something positive. It was Master P investing in Snoop and Eddie Griffith and all of the black people that was under No Limit and all, like, that's what this was about. No, like, Master P for me is like the epitome of the black man. Like, he is the black American man.
Mm.
He did everything. And I'm not just talking about the meme where he played ball and rapped and all of that. No, I'm not talking about he literally established a small economy from his own works. No Limit Records turned into this empire that he has now. Master P would have been a billionaire years ago if not for all the philanthropy, all of the investing that he put in. He literally gave Eddie Griffith $1 million for his thing. He
Mm.
gave Snoop Dogg a whole new lease on life. You feel
Mm.
me? He literally, like, Snoop Dogg was in a bad deal. He wasn't making no music like that, or at least it wasn't getting out like that because of his deal. No Limit came and saved Snoop Dogg, and Snoop Dogg is literally one of the most iconic hip hop artists in the world.
Mm.
And that would not have happened without Master P. So this is what I'm saying. Like, I come from that era. And when I see that these kids are watching the things that they watching, I am not impressed. I am not proud that they are watching that type of content. I feel like it's doing a way bigger detriment. So yes, it was bad for us to be sitting in front of the TV as kids and stuff like that. But at least the stuff that we saw, it helped us mature. Because let's not forget it. Like, it's not like propaganda just started when we became adults. We were
Right.
getting propaganda in our cartoons too. I think we had some of the more mature propaganda where it actually prepared us for real life situations. Disney was not shy about killing your parents. You know what I'm saying? Disney was not shy about showing you the harsh realities in cartoon 2D form. And from those traumatic scenes, we were able to digest it a little bit better. So if it were to happen in real life, we at least know how to deal with it. Because at least if we saw Simba lose his father in front of him, we saw Bambi lose, his father, or lose his parents. We seen, the Rescue Rangers, and we seen all of these different types of real life situations, but through cartoon media. So what I'm saying is, yeah, there was propaganda, but that propaganda, I feel like it matured us in a way that's not happening today. Because when
Yes.
I see Teen Titans Go, it's just sexualizing children. Like,
Mm.
it's nothing but booty play, a bunch of men playing with their butts and all of that other stuff. I don't think my son would become mature based upon that content. I feel like he
Mm.
would become sexual. I feel like he would want to get into his real sex bag. You feel
Mm.
me? And I don't think that that's healthy. I
Mm.
personally don't think that that's healthy. And I know people that, I mean, literally, Teen Titans Go is probably still their Cartoon Network's like number one show, and they
Yeah.
have a cross dressing cyborg. And Teen Titans, Cyborg is honestly like the epitome of masculinity. Dude is
Yeah.
half man, half machine, stoic as hell, big as hell. But in the cartoon version, he's cross dressing, shaking his butt, playing with butts, and in feminine. So
Yeah, they
that's what
did
happened.
that. They did that with the Incredibles. I think I went to the movies with my fam, and we went to go see the Incredibles, and they got the big black dude. He's the biggest man in the Incredibles, and he's driving the car, and he's scared. He's so scared. The woman has to now drive, and I'm like, damn, they really effeminizing us. Let me get in some super chats real fast. We got a bunch from John J. John Jay said, I don't know why y'all call me a supremacist, big man. We not family. I'm not attacking anything, just trying to understand these contracts. Natasha Kayleen, follow super chat. She said, this channel is the best content. Much love. Thank you, Natasha. John Jay said, no one takes y'all seriously because you guys do not explain why you believe this stuff. Hotep Jesus needs more revisionist book reviews on his channel. Ken Thoreau, he said, the government is good at one thing. It knows how to break your legs and then hand you a crutch. Harry Brown, Hotep and Bill. Deep, deep,
Mm.
deep quote right there, Ken. Um, let's talk forbidden history. You started this new um Twitter account called Forbidden History, and it's exploding with growth. You have a subscription; people can subscribe for free and get daily newsletters um, or updates based upon Forbidden History. What are some things that you have uncovered in creating this that you think falls under the title of forbidden, right? Like, why is this stuff forbidden? You know,
Well, uh, well, first of all, we already know that history is told by the victors, blah blah blah. And the reason why I consider it forbidden is just because it's not told in contemporary or even just like mainstream at all. They don't tell them in schools. They, really got to lift under rocks in certain sources to even find this information. And because this information is happening in the background or happening actually instead of what's being reported in the history book, then you can tell that it's actually deliberately being held from one of like I said, the relationship between European immigrants and the Black American native, that was definitely taken from us. And to the point now, you'll have people try to make a mockery of it and all of this stuff because it's been held from contemporary history classes. So when you hear that Black Americans were native to this country, it sounds like bullshit. Like it literally sounds like this can't be true. It sounds no different than saying Japanese people are native to North America. That's what it sounds like because everybody's been told since I don't know 19 whatever that we're African Americans and whatnot. And this is not to take away from the fact that more than likely, not even more than likely, 100%, if you keep going back, you will get to Africa. But you can't
yeah,
skip, that whole, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years with that after they came from Africa and living here. So there's substantial evidence to show that there were, again, Black people in the Americas, all the way up to Canada, all the way down to, the bottom of South America, all
mm,
Black natives. And I feel like that's like number one, like the number one thing that was held from Black people, the Black diaspora, is that we are the original man. We were here before, and we did civilize the European um, population. So with that, like how the Moors conquered Europe or Spain specifically for 800 years. Now, with that, a lot of people, don't know that the whole reason that we even have this racial caste system that we have now was because Black people ruled white people for almost 1,000 years. And when you get that context, when they finally defeated the Moors in 1492, it just so happens that Pope Alexander the Fourth, I want to say, either the fourth or the fifth, I believe it's the fourth though, he passed out the casta, which means lineage. And since they were subservient to Africans or blacks for so long, they knew that we're never going to let this happen again. We're never going to have people that look like Hotep Jesus run us. So they created a caste system where the lighter you were, or the closer to uh, European descent you were, the higher class you were, and in that you were able to have privileges. This is where your white privileged people get their. You can get your confirmation bias over here. So there was white or European privilege, and however far you diluted that European blood is how you were treated. So if you were pure Spanish, pure French, whatever, you was at the top. If you were mixed with a native, mixed with a little bit of if you were mixed with European and native, you were considered mestizo. And if you were, anything darker than that, then as you can see, the caste system would, go down on to darker skinned people. So this is where you get the contemporary use of racism today. Before then, we discriminated against nations, we discriminated against tribes, last names, et cetera, et cetera. It wasn't just appearance. It had to have been association. Now, of course, association comes certain things that are similar. So you'll see that okay, this group is enslaving or subjugating this group, and yes, it looks like it's two different races, but we're not doing it on the basis of race. We're doing it because I'm the chief of this tribe, and I want to take over the land of that chief. So prisoners of war, right? And that's another part of American history that they don't talk about. All of the wars between Black natives and European immigrants, all of those wars that the natives fought. That's how you're able to also circumvent and take land as well. That's the spoils of victory. If I beat your ass and land comes with that, you sure enough, I'm going to take your land. I whoop your ass. I need that. You know what I'm saying? That's just
mm.
that's how warfare was.
Yeah,
That's the spoils of warfare. So when you now have this caste system that was able, that emboldened Columbus and all of the other conquistadors and all of the other, oppressors pretty much, to be backed by, Queen Isabella, King Ferdinand, and all these people are giving them the okay under the guise of this caste system. Now, because they saw the mistreatment, they did outlaw it. I will, in all fairness, I got to, be fair. They did outlaw the mistreatment of natives in the Americas. However, the European is crafty. You know that they're going to think of a way. So they just created a new system in which, again, we'll pay these people, we'll give them compensation for their land and all this other stuff. But she's all the way in Spain. She's not. She can't. It's not like this. She can FaceTime me like, "Yo, what you doing?" You know what I'm saying? I'm over here killing as many of these natives as I want. I'm over here pillaging, raping as much as I want. And then once word gets back, I just tell them I paid it. Yeah, I paid them. I sure paid them. You know what I'm saying? They died of occupational hazards. Just don't trip. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And it was I can't pronounce it, but it's like in comment it's like economy in Spanish. You feel
Mm-hmm.
me? And that system allowed them to subjugate the natives without, quote unquote, enslaving them, even though the natives didn't have any rights. They were mistreated just like if they were slaves. Like, calling it something else doesn't change what it really is, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that's where that comes from. What else?
Let's talk. Let's talk
For
about. Let's talk about how black wealth was stripped from us. Um,
Okay, great, 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 great. I got you. So
all
and
right.
this is great too because we're getting into that argument now, the group economics argument, which means group economics is coming. Whenever these debates start coming up on a timeline casually, that means it's in the back of everybody's mind or in front of everybody's mind. So now everybody's becoming more and more geared. Like, yeah, I saw a basketball player have group economics on his jersey the other day. Like, it's becoming more and more mainstream, and I'm 100% taking credit for some of that, for sure. I definitely know the four words that I brought to the timeline: wealth building and group economics. Nobody could tell me that they was talking like this before Doe Dubs came to the timeline. If you
Facts.
were wealth building before you knew me, that's fine. But as
Yeah.
far as my timeline is considered, the word B, saying B, wealth building and group economics. That's all me, B. And that's
Yeah.
because my OG Claude Anderson put me on. You feel
Yeah.
me? He was
Yeah.
one of the people that in '04, 2014, 2015, I found power economics and stuff like that. So once I read that book, I'm like, you niggas ain't got no excuse. Leave me alone. You know
Right.
what I'm saying? I
Right.
watched I watched his lectures. I watched his lectures, and I watched the one where he shedded a tear. And this was pre 20 whatever. And he was like, yo, if we don't get this shit together by 2000 and X, we're gonna be out of here.
Mm.
And it's been past that. But anyway, where was I? I didn't want to even get off on the tangent. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
so black wealth, right? There's been the discussions about group economics, right? And they're saying, one side is saying that it does work, and we're not trying hard enough, and the other side is saying that it doesn't work, try socialism, right? And here I am in the middle, saying that it does work, and it also has a bunch of issues that come along with it. First and foremost, let me just say this right here. Whatever, like I said, whatever group economic model that you believe that you have, that you believe is totally new and brand new, your ancestors did it already in this country. That's the reason why you have the idea. It's literally passed down in your DNA. That's why you
Mm.
have the idea. That's one.
Mm-hmm.
I already told you about how they established the towns and all that.
Mm.
So when it comes to this knowledge, don't think that it's like, because that's how arrogant I was in 2015. That now that I know, that's it. I'm gonna save Black America. Just because I just needed to know, and now that I can tell y'all just gonna automatically just be group economics. You know what I'm saying? I
Mm-hmm.
literally thought that, oh shit, this has to be the reason why everybody is upset because they don't know this shit that I know. And it
Right.
is, but it's not just that,
Right.
right? That's just the arrogance of me that I'm the first person to, even though this is a best-selling book, I'm the first person to bring it up to y'all, right? And that was just
Yeah.
me and my personal peer group or whatever, whatever. However, there were things that happened historically that was substantial to Black Americans. One of the ones was the Freedmen Bank fraud. The Freedmen Bank frauds was back when, this is the after slavery and all of this other stuff. Immediately after slavery, we started building wealth. It was incredible. And that's how I know I had to check my own arrogance because slaves. You know what I'm saying? Former slaves, because let's be honest, they were landowners before anyway. So former slaves, they knew get right back to the land. Get right back. We got to get our land back. 16 million acres right there. 16 million acres. I Google it. 16 million acres. Immediately, Europeans started to find ways to take that away from them. Again, um, for John, whoever, look up indentures of servitude. Since you don't believe me, when I talk about fine print, look up the indentures of servitude. Indentures of servitude. Those were the agreement between the European immigrants and the native landowners. Preemption Act of 1840. Thank you, memory. Thank you. I just needed to keep talking to my brother. Preemption Act of 1840. Also, another act that took away.
1841. Yep.
Say it again.
Preemption Act of 1841, also known as the Distributive Preemptive Act.
Mm-hmm. There we go.
Appropriate,
I just had
appropriate, appropriate the proceeds of the sales of public lands, and to grant preemption rights to individuals.
right. So that act turned private owned Black American, Black Native lands into federal lands, public lands, which means we own it now. And now that we own it, we get to parcel it out to as many European immigrants as we want. Here's 100 acres for you, 5 acres for you, 500 acres for you, 1,000 acres for you. Go ahead and build your farm over there, Jimbo. Go ahead and do that. And then not only that, we have it in the contract that the former landowner is actually going to work on this motherfucker for you. And all you got to do is give us a little cut. And you know what they call those people? So if you ever looked up a runaway slave ad, it says to the a runaway from the subscriber, not the slave owner, not the slaveholder. Run away from the subscriber. If you just look up the definition of subscriber, it tells you that that's somebody who pays a debt or pays a lump sum of money or a sum of money every month. You know why? Because the people who own the land had a contract with the European squatters, and those European squatters had to pay their dues back to the government.
Mm,
So they worked out a deal with the government to where those dues that I'm paying you is actually allowing me to, it's like paying a mortgage so I can get this land from this Negro.
mm-hmm,
And that's how that relationship worked. And we lost. Literally, we were 16 million. So we talking about just the beginning of black wealth being taken away. We lost, or 16 million acres of land was taken from us by law. So that's the first line of offense that
mm.
Europeans, immigrants did to Nate. Boom.
Mm.
Now we got the Freedmen Bank fraud. So now we out of
Freedman,
slavery.
Freedman bank fraud.
Yeah. So we got the Freedmen Bank fraud. We out of slavery now. We moving and shaking. We doing our thing. We got banks going on. Now we got real legitimate banks. You know, starting like I know ones in North Carolina, Texas, and all that. We got real black banks going on. The Europeans, they thought, let's create a Freedmen's Bank, right, in their neighborhoods where it's booming and all of that. And because these are industrious, wealth building people, they're gonna rock with us. It's a financial institution. Once they say a financial institution, it's not like a clothing store where it's up to their discretion. Nah, this is a place where we can get loans. We can move. We can make money with it. It's a financial institution, and we're gonna get into that about how that is needs to be a thing for 2020. So they created these fake banks, and they pretty much advertised just like how you see in billboards and stuff like that. Come on, deposit your money, New Freedmen's Bank and stuff like that. But it was white owned. They took all of the money, and because of the charter on the banks, whatever money that was deposited into that bank is now the property of the bank. So out of nowhere, they would just shut down the banks, take the money. Now let me ask you this, Mister. All we need to do is like the Asians and like the, what I'm saying, and other group. What would you do? You earned all of your money hard. You 45 years old. You got kids, a wife, all of that. You put all your life savings in the Freedmen's Bank. And then one random Saturday, you walk in and there's no building to walk into.
Mm,
It doesn't exist anymore. Your money is gone. And not only that, the police don't like you. The judicial system is set up against you. So who are you even going to call?
mm,
You gonna put your money in the bank? You gonna
mm,
invest your money? No, you gonna buy clothes. You gonna buy shit. So at least If these niggas come take my shit or try to take mine, at least I got something I can show for something. That's where you get that from. So it's not just that, oh, we just ignorant and we just financially illiterate and we ain't got nothing going on. We just too stupid to put our money in banks. No, we tried that. When we did that, we got fucked over, substantially. Now, of course, this is not all encompassing, but this was all over the country, though. These banks were popping up and people were confused because there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing to hire somebody, and a black person, put them in front of the joint and make it seem like it's black owned. You feel me? So that's another piece. And then we get into what else? But how else? Then, okay, Black Wall Street. Now, because I was so solution oriented, I highlighted the fact that Black Wall Street rebuilt in 5 years and thrived for 40 more years, which is absolutely true. However, those 5 years were tough. Think about if you took a 5 year loss, you gotta not only recoup your 5 year loss, you gotta restore what you lost and then continue on. You see what I'm saying? And then you have who's legislation? The New Deal. Who's the New Deal?
LBJ.
That Lyndon B. Johnson?
Yeah.
I think it's it was a Democrat for sure. It was a
I'm
New
pretty
Deal.
sure. I'm pretty sure New Deal's LBJ.
Yeah. So he comes
Yeah, it's
and the New
LBJ.
Deal. Yeah. So he comes in, and the New Deal comes, and that means higher taxes and more
No,
regulations.
FDR. FDR. I'm sorry.
FDR. That's what I knew it was something. Yeah.
FDR.
So FDR comes with the New Deal, higher taxes for small businesses, more restrictions for small businesses. Again, wage requirements, all types of requirements. Of course, that is going to hurt the Black American business. And it's so funny that they got a Green New Deal and it's certain same similar restrictions and stuff like that. You see what I'm
Mm,
saying? So now we got legislation telling Black American entrepreneurs, wealth builders, that they need to fuck off and pay more taxes and stuff like that. If you're a Macy's, if you're a Bloomingdale's, if you're a Sears, if you're a Woolworths or whatever, you can take that blow. Just like Amazon can take that blow. But if you're Jim's Steakhouse and Harvey's hardware store, that's hard now. You see what I'm saying? Then you get into the Walmarts. You start getting into the Walmarts and the bigger chains coming into the community, shutting down small businesses. So when we're talking about Black wealth being taken from the community, it's just as prevalent as all of the group economic stuff that we all love. I've been preaching group economics since day one. You see what I'm saying? I love group economics. I stand by it, but we cannot act like we have been like uninhibited the entire time and we just so lazy. If we were from day one, were able to continue the trajectory from the days that we bought 16 or reclaimed 16 million acres, just imagine if our inheritance started with 16 million acres.
mm,
That's where it starts. That's where the legacy starts.
mm,
This should be nothing but up from there. You see what
mm-hmm,
I'm saying? So it had to have been something in the interim that stopped that.
mm,
So I just want everybody to understand, yes, group economics is the way to go. But let's stop acting like you're the first person to come up with this idea. Let's stop
mm-hmm,
acting like this idea is so foreign to Black America that it's so, excuse me, that we are just not able to do it, because it's so foreign to us.
mm, mm,
We've been doing this before, and I'm pretty sure the descendants of those people who were, fucked over by those banks told their kids, don't ever put your money in the bank.
mm. Yeah. Let
Ever.
me.
And if you saw your father get his money stolen from him by a bank, you wouldn't want to either. So
Right.
you have all of these things that make it real hard. You got to be tough to keep going, to
Mm-hmm.
lose so much and then have to keep building back. Lose so much and have to keep building back. That's it gets annoying. It gets annoying. Like, yo, so I don't necessarily blame people for saying they all they're gonna do is destroy it. I don't blame them. However, that's not up to you. You feel me? As
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
what the outside world is gonna do, it's not up to you. You can only control what you can control. And I'm
Mm,
not about to allow you to make excuses to live in squalor just because you think that if you don't, they're gonna just put you back in squalor. No, because what I believe is that we can learn from the triumphs and the mistakes of our ancestors. And what I believe our problem has been is that we're too nice. And I mean the word nice literally, as in stupid. We have been way too ignorant. We've been way too benevolent and being too forgiving. And that's the issue. if we actually just kept that distrust that everybody thinks they have on the timeline, because they don't really hate white people, and we're gonna get into that too, because it it's too mainstream to hate white people for me, honestly. Like it's not even like underground. It's not even edgy to hate white people. Like you got CNN saying fuck white people. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, like the mainstream media is allowing you to like hate white people. So I don't want you to think you're some type of revolutionary because you talking against white. Like it's like pro anti white. That's how this shit is. It's like, yo, being anti-white has never been more mainstream. So please believe you're not Fred Hampton, bro. You're not. You've been able to say this shit. If like Fred Hampton and them niggas was calling them niggas proletariats and shit like that, like that shit was heartfelt. Them niggas could not say that on the news. Like, trust me, this sanitized revolution shit that you got going on is nothing like the '60s at all.
uh,
They're allowing you. How about that? They're allowing this revolution. If they
uh,
thought you were a threat, you'd be dead. I just want you to know that.
uh,
Like you be like all of these protests and all that shit like that. Like it's all controlled if you look at it. If I'm looking at it, because shit
we
out
going
of like there's a book my man Doe put me onto, and it's all about these revolutionary white groups, black groups, mixed groups during the '60s and '70s. And these niggas was literally bombing police stations. They were
mm,
bombing local government buildings. Y'all not doing that. You feel me? Y'all that's real revolution. Y'all marching in the street. You saying sanctioned by the police. And if anything goes bad, one of the counter protesters starts shooting at you, you call in the state. You call in the boys. You don't even have a backup or a cavalry you can call like the Black Panthers did. You
mm,
feel me? Like one little tidbit before I get back into my main point. When domestic disputes were to happen in the black community back in the day when the Panthers was popping, and the wife would be like, yo, I'm about to call the police. Like, call him. The husband, he drunk or whatever. He's like, I don't care, call him. But if she said, I'm about to call the Panthers, that nigga stood up. That
uh,
nigga got he got his act together.
uh,
Because he know the police is going to do the police. But the Black Panthers, they really going to come fuck me up. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? They might actually kill me for beating on this black woman. And we
yeah,
need more of that. We need more militias and shit. But
yeah.
so I just want people to know that group economics is 100% where it's supposed to be. But I mean, it's 100% what we're supposed to be doing. But just don't think that this shit is just so easy. Um, because you gotta unpack and deal with a lot of those questions. Like you can't act like people are just lazy and don't want to do group economics. Like there may be some substantial reasons why they are scared to build wealth. I know there's people that's actually scared of being successful. Like
Mm,
people who, because like when you successful, yo, people don't tell you how much responsibility comes with that. You feel me? Like everybody that I know, my man, Carl, like Carl Options Game, he is responsible for dozens upon dozens of people. They have questions about options trading and stuff like that, and yeah, sure they pay him every month, but he has to answer those questions. And not only does he have to answer those questions, he has to answer them with validity and with sound answers because he has a responsibility to his subscribers. People just see the success and he's screenshotting his plays and all of that. But yo, he is being bogged down
let me
every day.
let me give some backstory to what you're talking about here for the audience. Options Gang Carl has a program where he basically reveals how he's, I'm gonna just say, placing his bets on the stock market using options trading, puts and calls, and he's allowing people to see how he's analyzing the stock market. As a black man, we talking about here. So go ahead, my
Mhm.
bad.
And he's allowed me to make dozens of thousands of dollars. I'll tell you that. You feel me? Carl, that's changed my life. It's like you, Carl, like y'all like my Mount Rushmore of changing my life. Like you with the mind in investing. Like you literally are the reason I opened up my first brokerage account. That AMD tweet back in 2016.
Yeah,
Buy
yeah.
AMD. I didn't know what the hell an AMD was, but that's literally my oldest holding that I have. And that's because of you,
AMD is
bro.
great.
You feel
AMD is
me?
great.
AMD.
Yeah.
So I opened my brokerage account or whatever because of you. I started options trading because of him. And I started eating better because of Brooke. And you know what I'm saying? So it's like y'all are, all of my peers, like y'all changed my life. That's the thing. I didn't have to go to a quote unquote professional or nothing. I got all of this out the mud, out the people who got it out of the mud, out of the muck. You feel me? So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that.
Let me
I'm
let
one of
me.
those people. Yeah, I'm about to say I'm all over the place. So you got to reel me back in.
You say I'm one of the
I'm
people.
on my
What?
what?
You said I'm
Oh, I'm
one of
one
the
of the people
people
like
that.
I'm real scatterbrain. Like I'll keep firing. Like if I would have brought
Oh,
up something else, I would have brought up
yeah,
diet
yeah.
right now.
Well,
Talking about
I
plant
want to.
based.
I want you to tell this story, but first, let me answer some super chats, and I want you to help jog my memory, and I'm gonna help jog your memory. And you're gonna tell this story, and I think people would love to hear about it. Susan Thursdays, 13.99 super chat. Thank you very very much. JJ says media hiding movie emperor about strong black male shields green and the events that led him to John Brown and white Republican and started the Civil War. Thank you, JJ. John Jay, none of those things you brought up suggest that natives were black. Give us proof. We're going to ignore John Jay. Brody McFarlane, he said, shout out to Doe, Hotep. Shout out to Brody. John Jay said, group economics is a good message. You scare people away with your half-baked history lessons. Again, we're going to ignore John Jay the troll. So here's the story I want you to tell, and you have to help me remember. There's a girl who inherits land, and the land um had oil on it.
Oh, you talking about my sister, Sarah Rector, boy, the
Sarah,
richest girl in the world.
yeah, Sarah Rector, who is also, John Jay's talking about he wants proof of natives, so I'm gonna let you tell the story.
Oh yes, yes, yes. She's absolutely a native, Oklahoma. She's a native Black American girl.
I
Black,
believe
you
I
look
believe
her up.
the
Sarah Rector.
Choctaw tribe. I want to say is their
Yep,
tribe. Okay.
yep. Tuck to her. Yep, that's the tribe in Oklahoma. Um, He was born, I want to say, 1900s, late 1800s. She lived on some land that was, of course, her family owned because of, them being natives and things of that nature. Um, her mom, I think her mom passed. I may be off about that. However, on the land, it was swampy and stuff like that. There was nothing that they could do with it. And her pops was trying to sell it. And he couldn't for some reason. I couldn't sell it, and American Oil came because they was surveying the area and stuff like that, and they believed there may be oil where the rectors live on their land. So they drilled, found oil, struck oil, not just a little bit of oil. So we're talking hundreds of barrels of oil. You feel me? So they leased the land to American Oil Company, and they were earning, if I'm not mistaken, about $3 million a year off the land,
Mm,
adjusted for inflation. And she built immense wealth. And not only did she start building wealth, she started owning businesses like real estate. She owned a few businesses. She bought a bunch of gold. She, of course, straightened out her family situation. And because of the rules of the laws back then, she they wanted to make her white. They wanted to classify her as white because there was no way that some Negro girl was supposed to be this rich. So they literally like white people really wanted to take her, like, nah, she's one of us. Like you know what I'm saying? Like, nah,
yeah,
she making too much money to be black. We need
yeah.
the race delegation. We need to trade her in with somebody. Like y'all can get like whoever y'all want. We need Sarah Rector. So
Yeah.
you had men from Germany all across the world trying to suit Sarah, trying to date her or whatever. But Sarah being a real old, like real G, she and this was since she was 12 years old, by the way. They were trying to marry her since she was a kid because she
Mm,
was rich since she was a kid.
mm,
And they were legit literally proposing marriage to a 12-year-old halfway around the world.
mm,
But anyway, she ends up marrying her high school sweetheart. High school, you know what I'm saying? Football player. Unfortunately, they didn't make it or whatever. And I think she got remarried as well. But she took care of her family. And back then, they was, again, the rules about blacks and wealth and things of that nature. They needed a white custodian. So this white guy that they was apparently like a family friend or whatever, that he was like the power of attorney, so to speak. And he was like finessing the hell out of the directors. And then the parents wasn't really financially literate, and I feel like they was kind of, me personally, this is my personal part of the history story. I feel like they was kind of in on it just because of the way like the history was talking about it. Like when you look at the Chicago Defender, which is a black owned newspaper, when they spoke about it, they were saying that a lot of it was due, not a lot of it, but like half of it was because the parents were like complicit in in the taking advantage of the wealth or whatever.
Mm.
So it was because of the black owned newspaper that the word got out, and they actually went down there and helped Sarah. They kicked the white dude out, got him out the paint, and they took the money, bought her a new house, fixed it up, and put the family in there. And ever since then, she was good. And then, with the Great Depression and all that other stuff, which is another thing that wiped out a lot of black wealth too. The Great Depression, she lost a lot of it, and she was a native. She was 100% native.
Hmm.
And she did an amazing job. At 18, she had several businesses. Of course, she had all of that land, and she just started to invest more. She used to drive fast cars throughout the city or whatever. Like she
Hmm.
used to do it up. She threw fancy parties for the black elite during that time. It was an amazing, amazing story,
She
and
was
she's
investing in
one
the
of
community.
hundreds of stories like that.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite history stories for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
I think that's another thing that people don't discuss is how detrimental the Great Depression was to Americans, all Americans of all
Mm,
race, especially the Black Americans because we're subject to the jurisdiction of America. But the Great Depression
absolutely.
robbed a lot of people because you have this, I wouldn't say new invention, but it's sort of like a new invention, this stock market idea, right? And they convince everybody to put their money into it and everybody's making money. So you really don't have, like us, we have a whole history of stock market to study to know how to like,
Mm.
take your gains out and all of this, right?
Yeah.
That we do. Right. Like technically me and you couldn't lose any money in the stock market because we've already taken gains and so on and so forth. Right. The only thing we would lose
Right.
are gains. Right. So they didn't have that study back then. There was no Benjamin Graham. There was no Google. There was no YouTube. Right.
Yeah.
There was no option gang Carl here. Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
so people were putting their money into these stocks, and then you wake up one day. There's no Robin Hood to check the price of your stock. Right. Like you couldn't just wake up and like, oh, what are my stocks doing today, and check your phone.
Word.
Right? So you wake up one day and your wealth is gone, right? And America was literally robbed by Wall Street, right? And I think that had a lot to do with the loss of her wealth. And it's
Yeah. I
just
mean, because you got to think this is right after the Roaring Twenties, Harlem Renaissance. You feel me?
yeah,
Like this is that whole Harlem, like that entire that photograph that everybody loves. You feel me?
yeah.
That's where that comes from. But again, going right back into the forbidden history, that started the whole Harlem Renaissance started because of none other than Booker T. Washington and the National Negro Business League. The
Mm,
National Negro Business League is personally, I guess, my favorite organization
okay.
because it kind of reminds me of Black Wealth Twitter, where professionals from every profession that you can think of, banking, medicine, manufacturing, retail, clothing, textile, whatever you can think of, they all came together every year. So all just think of like if Oprah, Robert Johnson, um, Robert Smith, Hove, and like all of the Kanye, all of the black billionaires came together and conspired every year and was like, yo, what's going on in Atlanta? What's going on in New York? What's going on down there in Miami? And they would be like, yo, the teachers from New York would share curriculum with teachers in Virginia. The doctors in Texas would share, procedures and methods with the doctors, with the black doctors in the so all of the networking that would happen throughout these whole things was like, yo, I got some land I got some property out in Harlem, New York. And we're doing all of this. We got clubs, we got cotton club, we got all of this stuff going on. So Booker T and them would actually invest in these projects. So these business owners came together and was like, we're going to pool our money together and we're going to be back in the Duke Ellingtons and, the Billie Holidays and like all of these people from that era, you feel me? And that's where you get the funding and the prosperity of the Roaring Twenties and the Harlem Renaissance. It comes from the National Negro Business League, right? So that's where all of this stuff comes from. Like it comes from black industriousness.
Mm.
It comes from black, ingenuity. And that's the reason why I could never be a victim. Because my OGs did it. My OGs came together every year and was like, yo, what we doing this year? How we killing it? You feel me?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want. I talk to young black millionaires every day.
Mm.
Either they making high fives, mid six or high seven, eight, nine figures. I'm talking about people that's under 40, making 10 million plus a year.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? Coming
Mm-hmm.
from the hood.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
never had that before. Like this is the first time we've been able, as far as like my generation, we can actually come together. And I could talk to a 29-year-old millionaire on how he got it. He's like, yeah, so when I started flipping real estate, then I started using the money that I made from real estate to invest. And then I used that money that I was making from the cash flow and started investing in the stocks. And those stocks pay me dividends. And those dividends allow me to pay for my monthly expenses. And now I literally live free.
Mm.
My investments pay for everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know how vital that information is to somebody that's 19, 18, 17? When people was like, yo, what would you do if you was 18? Like this type of information, like my daughter is 2 years now into her business.
Right.
She's not even 18 yet.
Mm-hmm.
You feel me? So it's like when
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at this type of stuff, I'm like, yo, this is what I asked for. I
Mm-hmm.
always just wanted that ecosystem that I may not know anything about real estate, but I can tap in with the real estate section of my Rolodex and be like, yo, son, I got a buyer or I got a seller. What you know what I'm saying? And I
Let's
just make my little joint in the middle.
let,
Same thing with options. Like I will never be, going to trades blind, but I don't have the time to do the due diligence that Carl does.
mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? So that's why I can tap into my options on. Recently, I got into sports betting. Ali, I don't watch no damn sports. I still don't watch sports. But these men sit for hours and study the stats and study the standings and study this and study the way they play. And this is the 10th time and since the last time that he played with this injury and all. They do all of this technical analysis on the sports and they give me picks. And because I pay for the service, you know what I'm saying? We lit.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what I do. I'd rather pay you to do it at this point. I
Yeah.
tweeted
Yeah.
that today too. I'd rather pay you to do it. I'm at that
Yeah.
point. I'm good at what I do. I'm able to, I'm personable. I'm able to convey messages really well. I'm able to, get people to see the bigger picture or see whatever picture I'm trying to picture. Except this John guy. I figured he would have looked at the act and showed you, but it's not enough. But I just want and they pay for them super chats, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so yeah, please keep on, like, keep on proving me wrong, brother, for sure.
So
But
I want you. I want you to dispel, or a lot of people say, "Oh, we had Black Wall Street and they tore it down." Right? We had
mm,
Black Wall Street, they tore it down. Can you talk about that myth?
okay, so let's get into it because so we dealt with the harsh realities of the external. So let's deal with the harsh realities of the internal. So yes, Black Wall Street was destroyed. All right, not completely, but it was destroyed. Um, like I said, what happened in 1920 or 1921, it was fully restored by 1925. Look it up. Um, it wasn't until and they thrived for 40 more years after that. So up until 1965, up until 1964, 65, they were fine. Now, I ask
Mhm.
you, what happened in America in 1964 and 1965?
I want to say,
Well,
wasn't that the Civil Rights Act?
correct,
Yeah,
Holly. Correct.
yeah. The whole civil rights thing was popping off. Yup, voting
Right.
rights in
And
1965.
if I'm
Right.
quoting my OG Claude Anderson correctly, Asians got Asian rights, Hispanics got Hispanic rights, whites got white rights, blacks got civil rights. Who the hell is civil? Right? So we are in a space where the law tells you the forbidden fruit is white. The law tells you that milkshake that you can't drink, even though Jim, your brother, makes milkshakes, he's been making milkshakes for his whole life. You finally got access to that forbidden milkshake. You finally got access to the milkshake that they told you couldn't have. And because it was also associated with a class of people or the dominant society, like they call it, dominance, shopping at Macy's is way better than shopping at JC's. You feel me? Like shopping at Bloomingdale's is better than shopping at Stephanie's clothing store that I've been shopping at, that ain't nothing new. That ain't forbidden. That ain't nothing I haven't seen before. So it was exotic. It was finally we able to go to these white establishments. And it's sad. It is sad, yo, because the reason why is because they thought that the white man's ice was colder. Just to be totally honest with you, they thought because it was okay, they took white pride and stuff that they, the Oscars, Grammys, all of these things that was prestigious, Yale, Harvard, the Ivy Leagues, and all of that. They took all of that, and because Europeans and white people or whatever, they can have pride in the things that they create and have prestige in the things that they create. That prestige was also associated with again that authoritative figure, that dominant figure. So not only was it prestigious, but it was better in their mind because it's more you. Technically, it's more you. There's better of you. You got more money. You got all of this happening. You got Harvard, all of this fancy stuff. So in comparison, despite that, I love this food. I love these clothes. I've been going to this movie theater. I've been going to this park. I've been doing all of this stuff my whole life. This looks a little fancier. And not only that, even though it's open to the quote unquote public, there is like an achievement there if I get in the door, but there's a bigger achievement if I get in the door and I'm accepted. Because one thing to get in there and sitting there and they pour a milkshake over your head. That's not enough though.
Mm.
I want to be hugged by a white person. I want to be embraced. So what do I do? Let me just keep shopping with them. Let me just keep going there. Let me just keep showing how loyal I am. And this is where you get Black American brand loyalty. There is no other consumer group in America who has thicker and more tight brand loyalty than Black America. That's a
Mm.
fact.
Mm.
You feel me? There is nobody that sticks with a brand, that docks with a brand like a Black American consumer.
Mm.
And these big, media agents and advertising agencies, they understand that. That's why you can't turn on any channel and watch any ad without having some hip hop music playing, a black actor, buying or using the product. You need black people to sell in this economy because we dictate what's cool. We're the barometer of what's cool. Black guys wearing it, black women are saying it. We gonna replicate it and sell it. You see what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That's why you got all these people now who out of nowhere speaking like slang and all this other shit on TikTok. Like they're selling it to you because yes, child was something that my aunts and them said because that's where they from. They from the South. They have that
Right.
accent. But now it's
Yeah.
being sold. You have yes, child T-shirts being sold by Karens on Etsy. You see what I'm saying? It's not because they rock with the culture. They're not your allies. It's money in it.
Yeah.
It's actual social acceptance in it. Because
I
the
understand.
sassier and the more fluent you are in that language, you're going to accept them because, again, that prestige, being able to be accepted and all of that other stuff. So if you accept them, the white people that thinks that they're being corny or whatever, they're going to be like, oh, he's actually even super cool. He's a super cool white dude because he gets accepted, you know what I'm saying, by the people that he's imitating. You feel what I'm saying? Like them dudes who be trying to sound like Slim Thug and shit like that. Them white dudes from Houston who for all of they be trying to sound like they like black dudes from the South. I've been seeing them dudes lately. I don't like. What do you got? Why are you talking like that? You don't
Yeah.
talk like that. You
Yeah.
feel me? So that's what it is. Like it's just cool to be black. Like it really is dope to be black. I hope John knows that. Like it's so dope being black, bro. For real, I love it. So when it comes to all of that, it's a real social mess, honestly. So you got white people doing their best to get as close to blackness as possible without being black, and then you got white black people doing the same thing on the other end. Because I want to go to Harvard, and while you want to go to Harvard, they want to sag their jeans and cook the foods you make and wear your hairstyles and come with just the same sensibilities of style and all of that other stuff. So it's like you got two groups who want to be accepted by one another. It's just that one is paying the other, and the other one is stealing from the other and
Mm.
just copying it and then selling it back to the person. You
Mhm.
see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
that's the issue. That's the reason why I really don't like the whole representation matters because you're buying tickets instead of selling tickets. I'd
Mm.
rather you sell your representation instead of buying it from somebody. Sell your reputation, sell your representation to the outside world. Don't buy it. Don't buy your culture from another culture. That's weird as hell. No other culture buys their culture from another culture. You see what I'm saying? Where else? Why are we going to Disney for Beyonce?
Uh. Oh my
Why are we going to
God.
Black is King? That film was fire. I love Black is King. It's Hotep as hell. Why did we have to pay Disney for that?
That was on Disney?
hmm It was literally it was the live. I'm not gonna say live action, but it was like the Beyonce metaphor for the Lion King. Like it was
Mm.
a little boy, who was born, and then he grew up. Then it was literally the story of Lion King told through the eyes and the creative genius of Beyonce. And that
Okay.
film was fire. It's a visual album. It's fire.
Okay.
Why did we have to pay Disney for that? Black Panther. We paid Disney for that. You know what I'm saying? Uh, Netflix. We paying Netflix for that. All of the black role leads, Moesha and them being picked up for Netflix. And there is a black owned um subscription service for black owned shows and stuff like that. We're paying other cultures to sell. We're literally buying our culture from another culture. That is so weird to me. I live in the hood, son. I live in black areas, and
Yeah.
I see Asians literally giving black men haircut, fade. It's like, son, is nothing sacred? Like, how is it that we're buying our food? Like, what? Like, yo, there's an Asian owned soul food restaurant out here, G.
Yeah.
It's wild
Asian
out here. There's
slow
a
food.
Yo, son. There's a chain. It's a chain of restaurants called Hip Hop Chicken and Fish, boy. Hip Hop Chicken and Fish. Look it up. I'm telling you, it's owned by Arabs. Black people are the number one customer in these establishments. It's all
Hip
throughout
hop chicken
Maryland.
and what? Hip hop chicken and what? And fish?
Hip Hop Chicken and Fish.
Oh yeah, I see it right here. It's on Yelp. They got a bunch of them too.
Yo, I'm telling you. It's literally hip hop in the name. Hip Hop Chicken. And it's
Hip
owned by
hop,
Arabs.
hip hop, fish and chicken.
Yep. When I was working in Maryland, I seen that shit. I was like, that's crazy. And then speaking of Maryland, in my book, Black American Inc., The Trading Dollar Nation, I talk about Eric and Michelle Speaks
Mm-hmm.
and how they opened up apples and oranges organic market
Yeah.
in West Baltimore, in the
Yeah.
city that needed organic fresh produce the most.
Yeah.
We talk about food deserts and stuff like that. We have those debates all of the time. This black couple, they opened up an organic market in the heart of the hood, held demonstrations and stuff like that to show them how to cook healthier foods. Gave them healthier options. They didn't sell tobacco. They didn't sell fried foods, and they didn't sell too many processed unhealthy foods at all. And the response the community gave was boycotting them. They did not shop with them. They
Mm.
cited several reasons. They said that the food was too expensive. They were saying that they didn't have the items that they were used to. But honestly, bro, they just did not serve the unhealthy shit that they was used to.
Mm.
Unhealthy artificial flavorings in America is addicting. I think
Mm-hmm.
food is like the number one addiction in America, if you ask me. Sugar
Mm-hmm.
specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a bunch of sugar addicts, artificial flavor addicts who've never tasted a real strawberry or even know what real strawberries taste like. It's very tart, it's very sweet at the same time. It's not the same uh, uh, strawberry flavored soda that you're used to drinking since you was a kid in diapers. You feel me? I've seen babies drink soda ever since I was a baby. So, like from day one, their taste buds are zapped. They don't even have a reference for what fresh food tastes like. So,
Mm-hmm.
imagine a 25-year-old or the 35-year-old who has to buy the groceries. I'm not about to buy this fresh produce for my kids so he can spoil in my fridge, and then I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
have to go to shop right anyway and actually get all of the unhealthy shit that they like.
Yeah.
So they boycotted a black business that was literally trying to save their lives through healthy
They
foods.
boycotted it.
Not openly, like they didn't
Oh, I
directly
see.
say don't
Okay.
shop
Okay.
here.
Right.
But
Right.
I
Right.
mean, the result is if the result is the same, then I mean, at the end of the day, you can call it
Yeah.
whatever you want. They're
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
longer in business, and now
Right.
if the last time I checked, they have a GoFundMe to try to open back up. And I put it in my book that Baltimore owes it to them. Apples and oranges, look them up. If you in the Baltimore area, do what you can to get more spots like that back in your neighborhood, because that's important. That's very, very important. So that's what I mean as far as like selling the culture back. We got people, black people, who are trying to, sell their people the good stuff, and then you got Hip Hop Chicken that's been opening up locations ever since nonstop
Mm,
in the same state,
mm,
same city.
mm. Now the other day,
You know what I mean?
me and you was talking, and we started talking about the black community, and I don't know if you remember this, but I was like, nigga, I don't go fuck about none of that shit, right? Isn't that what I said before we got the phone? Like, I don't deal in the black community,
Yeah.
right? Right? Hey, like, I turn 40 next month, and I'm too old to deal with other people's problems, right? And I believe the psychosis is too far gone to be aided by anything. So, with that being said, I have to ask you why you continue to do the work you do for the black community. I want to know why you feel compelled to help these fucking niggas. Because like I said before, the only part of the black community I care about is children. The adults I can give a fuck about. Fuck them. It's children I
Mhm.
care about, Y'all want to do ignorant shit as adults and y'all want to be fucking stupid, fine. But just know that your stupidness is affecting the children. So, I'm very much trying to set myself up where I'm going to start taking people's children from them and raising them because they're not fully capable. And then I'm going and then along with that, I'm going to raise the parents too. Like that's where my head is at. So I'm asking you, why are you still talking to the black community?
Well, real talk, Tim, is because it just remind me of the position that Hev had me in. So he sat me down and told me about all of this stuff, and I know how powerful I felt when I first learned all of this stuff, and I know how powerful I felt when I was 25 learning new information, right? And if somebody were to be like, "Yo, fuck the adults," right? Because I had my kid at 19,
Mm,
so if the sentiment was "fuck the parents," then my daughter's screwed.
mm, mm.
You feel me? That
Mhm.
if it's fuck me, then my daughter ain't got a chance because I ain't no way you gonna be able to get to her before you get to me.
Right.
You right? So yes, I 100% agree when it comes to focusing on the children more than the adult, because there's people like you said. There's people right now. I couldn't imagine trying to tell somebody who's 40 years old, 45 years old that pork is killing them.
Mm.
You're like, so what? Like, you know what I mean? But there are people who genuinely don't know and want to know more, and that proved my Twitter account proved that. I have countless DMs right now that I still have to reply to and stuff like that. It's many of them that tell me, "Yo, son, it's because of your tweets that I learned about XYZ." And I go and open the avid. They around my age. Now, of course, I will say, just due to social media, that more of them are of the youth. I appreciate all of the young guys and the young ladies that that hit me up and ask me how they can start wealth building. They're like, "I'm only 16, I'm a freshman in high school," and stuff like that. I always throw them "stop being poor for free." You feel me? Like, all of that stuff, that's free game here. Because if you get this game at 14 years old, oh my God, you should be at a million by the time you're 20. Fact.
Mhm.
Fact.
Mhm.
No, and there's
Mhm.
no doubt about it in my mind. If you at 14 years old read my book and apply everything in every chapter, you will be a millionaire by the time you're 20. Fact. So with that, I just feel like at the end of the day, there are people who want to learn. Right now, one of the things that did hurt me, well, I would say I was disheartened. You remember when I had CUTC, when I did
Who?
clean up the city?
Oh yeah.
hmm I,
Yep.
I opened up, I opened it
I
up in
remember that.
Philly. My man Phil Lewis, shout out to Phil Lewis. He took the Detroit chapter. He was doing it big out there. But for me, I posted flyers up everywhere, all of the youth centers, the churches, and stuff like that. I told everybody to come on out. Local politicians said that they was gonna come through, and nobody came, bro. Nobody showed up. I was literally outside cleaning whole city blocks, neighborhood blocks in Philly by myself. Literally, people on the steps was watching me clean the sidewalk. You feel me? And I was out there every weekend by myself. Told people, "Yo, come on out." You feel me? I can still go to type in CUTC on Twitter. You'll see the page. I was out there, yo. I was doing my thing, and I've never been so discouraged in my life when I watch adults tell me, "Yeah, I'm coming. I'm gonna be out there with you, bros. I'm proud of what you're doing." All this other stuff, and nobody came. So yeah, there's plenty of times where I felt like, yeah, I'm wasting my time with these adults. You feel me? I There are. However, I love my community, man. I come from the hot, like I really come from the best era of Black America, outside of historical and stuff like that. '90s was the best. We had the most confidence. We had the most ingenuity. We was creative. We was really unapologetically Black, and we didn't ever have to say those words ever. We literally did what we wanted to do. And I remember like just that vibe. And I remember how it felt being in New York in '96, being a 6-year-old boy, seeing all of the culture around me. I remember all of that. I remember hearing, and hearing that Nas sample. It ain't hard to tell as a little boy, like just like that's what it just makes me feel like it's just nostalgic when I see that. So for me, man, I just love Black America too much, man. My first book was Black America Inc. You feel me?
Trillion,
Like I
trillion
was
dollar
so
nation.
upset. Like I really like I was so upset because I just know my people are better than this, man. This victim mentality shit, like I just know we better. I know our OGs is looking at us like side eyeing, like, yo, what are y'all doing? You feel me? Like
Mm-hmm.
this is not what we did all of this for. We didn't build all of these businesses and create all these empires for you to give it away and
Mm,
have these niggas sell it back to you.
mm,
You feel me? So I
mm,
just look at it like I owe it to my OGs. I owe it to my ancestors to keep this shit going, yo.
mm,
Harriet
mm.
Tubman didn't free children, man. She freed grown men and women, grown
Mm-hmm.
men and women. Of course, the
Mm-hmm.
children was there, but as far as having to give the instruction, like there was adults there, and that quote is not real, so I'm not going to quote it. Um, but I'm pretty sure she did have difficulties too,
Mm,
having to, based upon what Frederick Douglass said, if we got people, slaves fist fighting over who has the best mask, I'm pretty sure just trying to explain to him, yo, freedom is this way. There's going to be a whole bunch of questions. Oh, why? I don't know if da da da. And if it was all about that, then she would have just said, fuck all of the slaves.
mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Yes, there are some adults that piss me off. There are some adults that, leave me disheartened when I look at my community.
Mm,
However, because I care about the youth, I have to care about them too. You
mm,
feel me? And I
mm,
know how Black parents are. You ain't gonna tell them about how to raise their kids. So I
mm,
might as well try to get in the back of your mind at least. That's why I get into my whole, making sure that you're, building wealth and doing all the stuff that you're supposed to do as a man. I don't
mm,
really. I hold women accountable, of course, but because I'm so adamant about checking internal and not blaming external groups, I deal with men more. You know what I'm
mm,
saying? When my wife, she's talking to her friends, she deals with the women. She holds the women accountable. Like, no, you're enabling his bad behavior, and here I am on the man side. Like, no, you shouldn't even have to be enabled or disabled, nigga. You should be on your own 2 feet doing what you need to be doing. So
mm-hmm.
that's how we do. We hold our people accountable. We hold our community accountable. So for me, man, I look at it and I see what we can be. You feel me? I see. I guess you can kind of look at me as the girlfriend that sees the potential or the boyfriend that sees the potential in the person. They may not be all the way there yet, but I can see it in them. And
Yeah.
of course, we hear all of the cautionary tales about don't fall in love with the potential, but it's not the potential. It's just about doing what we did already. This ain't
Yeah.
new. That's the
Yeah.
whole reason why. It'd be
Yeah.
different if this is all new phenomenon and we don't have any frame of reference. We can literally just copy what they did and then just renovate and update it for the 21st century.
Right.
So
Now, peep
that's the
this.
reason why. Yeah.
Now, peep this. We have to segment the Black community, right? And talk about the different types of the Black community. Now, the only part of the Black community I love is the hood, the streets. That's the only part of the Black community I love, right? Because, and this is why I stopped talking about Black shit online, is because the motherfuckers is in the streets ain't online. I be with the hood homies.
Right.
They be like, yo, I ain't even got no Facebook account. I don't be online. That shit corny. That's what these niggas is telling me in the streets. That shit corny. I'm out here in these streets. Fuck that internet shit, right? If they got a phone, it's a
Mhm.
trap phone, you know? So, and when I speak to these people, I'm hearing a higher level of consciousness than the Black people online has been duped by socialists.
Mhm.
The people
I
in the
say that all
street,
the time. I say the hood. Yeah, go ahead.
the streets is Hotep. So what I say is
Hmm.
I'm not pro black. I'm pro Hotep. If you're not of the Hotep mindset, I have nothing to do with you. I wash my hands with you. Fuck you. I hope you fucking
Mm.
die. I hope you fucking perish. You've been holding us back.
Jeez.
You've been holding us back since the fucking the goddamn Black Boule and all these niggas, these Martin Luther
Hmm.
King ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? I can't fucking stand these motherfuckers. All these blue check black motherfuckers, I fucking hate them. And they're the
Well,
same.
I'm glad you said it, so I ain't had to say.
I mean, they wholly miseducate us with this whole victim mentality and all this shit. That's why, like the other day, I tweeted out, I said, yo, talking about COVID, I said, I said, I'm really disappointed in humanity for feeding into this fear of this virus. And this black girl responds, she goes, yo, what the fuck? I lost a family member to this. This stuff isn't a hoax. And I responded to her. I said, I lost 7 family members this year to COVID. 7 of my greatest elders. My aunt Lona May, my uncle Chester. I lost my cousin Robin. I mean, I could keep going. I lost 7 specifically to the COVID virus, right? Now, there's something I understand about the COVID virus that they don't understand because we're Hoteps. We understand health. We understand healing, right? So this girl says to me, she says, well, if you lost 7 of them, how could you say what you said? And I said, because the solution to the virus is what's got us led astray. Wear these masks. That's not sound scientifically. Even the CDC says that wearing a mask doesn't do shit for you, right? So what these people don't understand is, and like I said, this is a privileged person who holds an iPhone in her hand and is tweeting and believes the white man. So you're talking about all this systemic oppression, but your information on COVID is coming from the white man. And here you are trying to argue with the black man that's trying to put you up on some shit. This is why I've washed my hands with internet blacks. That's what I should call them. I should call them internet blacks, right?
Yeah.
Because
I call them the brunch bunch.
the brunch
Yeah.
bunch. Yeah. And I'm very much like you. Like, I wouldn't be on the internet if it wasn't some sort of business going on. When MySpace was popping, I had a business. When Black Planet was popping, I was like you. I was building websites. It was a business. When I built my 2 Hot for BP, I was putting native ads on there, right? It was always a business. I didn't come online to fucking fraternize with people. I always thought that shit was corny. I was like, y'all online, we ain't getting no money. I used to say to my homeboys, I'm like, yo, we online, we got to figure out how to get some money. And the homies that wasn't getting money, I was like, I'm not fucking with you. I'm gonna fuck with the homies that want to get money online. And we was taking over MySpace, right? These niggas is online having fun. I'm not online to have fucking fun. I'm online
Hmm.
to fucking
Oh
build.
bullshit. Shit. My first Twitter account. Not even because Doe Doobs is my original account. I've never gotten like kicked off or whatever. It's since 2009. But the first name that I had was H Wood Doe, and that was because I had a business, Hollywood Fitteds. I forgot to tell you that when I was getting my bearings, I used my graphic designs because I was a part of the sneaker forum back in the early 2000s, around the same time that I was rocking with Head. And one of the guys, he actually had a link to a fitted store called Pegasus in Harlem,
Mm,
and I started designing new eras for them. You know what I'm saying? And I started selling them, selling the designs and selling them to them. And then through that work, I got with this company in Buffalo, and their company was like down the street from the New Era because I was doing New Era fittings from the New Era headquarters. So I was designing fitted and selling them online. So when I got on Twitter, my first name was H Wood Doe, Hollywood Doe for Hollywood Fitteds.
mm,
And I was posting my designs up and stuff like that. Y'all could Google Hollywood Fitteds right now. Y'all can see my fitteds right now. I worked and I had a contract. Well, I was contracted by somebody who had a contract with New Era. Because having a New Era contract, you needed to have your own store and all that
mm,
stuff. So I worked with businesses who had contracts with New Era. And I have to this day, there's new eras, and I wish I had known about royalties and all that other shit. But there's literal new era designs that's going on that's being sold right now at lids and all that other shit that that new era fucks with and shit like that. And I don't even get nothing for it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But
yeah.
it is what it
I
is.
I
I didn't
I
know.
I I love that you exist. When the young bloods, the young black bloods come to me and they're like, yo, Hotep, I need help, this, that, and the third. I just direct them to you because I don't got, I don't
Mm.
got, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
got.
so that's what I was going to say. That was the reason why I was going to say as far as the hood. Like I really do feel like the hood is the last vestige of liberation.
Yes.
The hood is the last vestige because they're the last group of Black Americans who still distrust. the government and distrust authority. They're the last people that are going to be like, okay, I'm going to listen to what the officer says. I'm going to listen to what Senator such and such says. I'm going to no, like Mayor Lightfoot of Chicago, she still had to go out there and tell niggas that you get off the basketball court, like go home. And then
Yeah.
you still see like you can't tell the hood what to do for real. Like you literally have to bring in the National Guard to get these guys to control themselves because we don't believe none of that shit. Like what? Doctor Fucci who? Like they don't believe none of that. My uncle
Yeah.
told me all I got to do is stand out in the sun, work out, eat a bunch of vitamin C, vitamin D, making sure that I'm not covering my face up. My OG told me that. I'm going to
Mm.
listen to my OG way before I listen to a Dr. Fauci. He don't look like me. He don't sound like me. He don't come from where I come from. And they automatically still have that distrust. Now, of course, because I know people are going to try to attack you and say that hood people are on the internet, but there is a distinct difference, a huge difference. I still have a nice little pocket of hood Twitter on my timeline just to make sure that I'm still just even digitally one
Shout
foot
out, shout
out,
out
one
to
foot.
shout out to Cooley, straight from the hood.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
my brother Cooley, he keep me like he's living his like he's a reform. He's not reformed because yeah, I think he what Hope say. No matter where you go, you are what you are. But like my
Mhm.
homie Cooley, like he got a spot out in the A, nice big home. It's not like he's still living in the hood, but he'll always be that gangster. You feel me? And I stay tapped in with him and his followings and like the stuff that he be talking about because that if you just read his tweets, that's where that shit like yo, that's like he'll just literally say, yo, that don't make no sense. Like
Yeah.
what are you talking about? You told me they just said I just read an article that said the mask don't work, but this doctor just told me to wear the mask.
Mm.
Simple logic tells me that something's not right. Some
Mhm.
one of those things are not right. As opposed to a blue check, they're going to try to like literally justify or try to find a way that both of those things can work, and we can be mad at two things at once, or two things can be true at once. It's like nah,
Mm.
not when they contradict each other like that.
Mm. Mm.
And the hood, as crazy as it sounds, has more common sense than your average blavity with the blue check and the college degree
Mhm.
because they've
Mhm.
been indoctrinated by this socialist and communist professors. So anything that's not free, anything that's not being given to you, anything that's not reaffirming your victimhood, anything that's not giving you your confirmation bias for all of the bullshit you've been taught in school, it's going to, you know what I'm saying? You're not going to jack it if it's not
Mhm.
that. So
Mhm.
with the hood, they like, nah, son, give it to me raw and uncut. Let
Mm.
me know what's going on. How many
Mm.
people, like, wait, only this amount of people are dying?
Mhm.
So if it's 99% point, whatever recovery rate, why the hell would I be scared of it?
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just that you can just have that conversation with them and they'll just break down all of your propaganda right there in your face because they're just
Mhm.
going to ask simple questions. How is that possible?
Mm.
That doesn't make any sense. They're going to tell you that to your face. And when it comes time to um, really do the accounting on who shops black more, the people who never leave their hood or the people who travel and buy
Yeah.
European this and they want to be like Carrie from Sex in the City, so they wear Tiffany and all this other shit, or the nigga who spends at least 1,000 a month with the weed man, the nigga who goes to the local stores, who goes to the local Jamaican spot, who goes to the soul food spot, that stays in their hood. They are practicing more group economics than the people with college degrees and the money to actually invest or patronize these black owned businesses with discernment.
Mhm.
So naturally, I believe if we just replace all of these externally owned businesses with black owned businesses, the hood is going to be the people that are going to come in droves to make sure. You know how I know?
Yeah.
Because they come in droves in the Asian owned business. I've seen
Mhm.
lines after the shutdown, black women, 3, 4 dozen black women standing in line waiting to walk inside of an Asian owned beauty supply store. You know what
Mhm.
made me happy though? Another hood, I think it was in Oakland. It was a black owned beauty supply store, and I saw the same line. And I'm like, see, they keep the same energy. And
Mm.
here's going back to the financial institutions. This is I'm gonna tie it all in. That is why communities thrive.
Mm.
Everybody thinks that every Asian is good with money and they just great with group economics. No, no. There's spendthrift Asians. There's financially illiterate Asians. It's just that they have financial institutions that fortifies their money no matter what.
Mm.
So, for instance, you don't have to be financially literate when you have an investment bank, an actual bank, a CDFI, a community development financial institution. You have insurance companies. You have brokerage, savings and loans. You have all of these different financial instruments and financial institutions that the average Joe with a regular paycheck can just put his money inside of it. What does the bank do with your money? They reinvest that money into different projects going on around it. So even if you have no idea what group economics about, you're participating if you just put your money inside of a black bank. I've been banking with One United since 2015. Again, since I found out about the solutions, that was the first thing I did. Word is black banks? I didn't know that. I didn't know black banks existed before 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Word, they
Mm-hmm.
exist. Boom. Say no more. One
Mm-hmm.
United. You feel me? So more money that One United is the biggest black bank we got. And I think they got like close to a billion in their coffers. It's nowhere near enough. We're
Mm-hmm.
talking about trillions and hundreds of billions in Bank of America and all these other banks. So
Mm-hmm.
when we talking about development, we were able, like, we think about just life insurance itself. We got black owned because that was one of the major industries in Black America. That actually the North Carolina Mutual Life Insurance Company is still one of the oldest black owned insurance companies in the world. I mean, in America, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why that's important is because life insurance is one of those things where it's really reserved for the generation after you, right? You die, and then that happens. Those benefits go to the beneficiaries.
Mm-hmm.
If we have more and more black people just opening up accounts with these black owned insurance companies, your generational wealth is already set in stone at that point.
Mm-hmm.
You pay for your policy every month like you're supposed to, like you've been doing with other insurance companies. But the money that you're paying into those policies, those plans, that business, that money is going to be reinvested again. All of these financial institutions, the way they make money is through interest and being able to reinvest the money that they get from you. So
Mm-hmm.
think about it. When you talk to these real estate agents, or excuse me, the real estate Twitter, they'll tell you the hood is a gold mine. That's the reason why
Oh yeah.
gentrification is a thing. So
Right.
imagine we open up a bank in the Black American community. Let's just say it's Philly, right? We open up a Black American bank in Philly. Prime real estate all over here. You feel me? Temple's here. You got Drexel. You got Penn State. All of this stuff. We start buying up all of these properties, these abandoned buildings, these abandoned row homes, and all of that stuff. We buy them down, just the whole block. Start buying them up through an institution, a black owned institution. So all of the whatever strings we can pull, whatever things that we can do to make sure that we can keep this stuff in, or try to get some grants going, or whatever we can finagle to legally. We are now able to own all of these properties now. So now the insurance companies, the black banks, the black insurance companies, the black financial institutions owns the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now
Mm-hmm.
they're able to control the rent price. They're
Mm-hmm.
not they can they can see what the demographic of the community is, and they can raise their rent as they raise the net worth of the people in the neighborhood, as opposed to just kicking the poor people out and then moving the rich ones in. No,
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to move Granny out. We're not going to do that. What we're going to do is we're going to put her money inside of Black American financial institutions, make sure her wealth is growing on her behalf. You don't got to know about the gains and losses, the profits and losses. You don't need to know about derivatives or anything like that. She just needs to know that her money is secured, safe, and it's insured up to a certain amount or whatever. That's all she needs to know. And then we're going to teach her son, her grandson, and everybody else how to manage the wealth. We're going to teach them those things. And then after she passes on, the house is left to them, the wealth is left to them, and now they're financially literate. And then, of course, they're going to, next generation, they're going to be old. And it's going to be the same cycle all over again. The money never left. I am telling you now, Black America has the ability to be recession proof. We have the ability to be recession proof no matter what. The market cycles, we already know about them. We already know about the market phases. Black America, economically, socioeconomically, has the ability to be recession proof with the way we consume in America. If we just literally diverted all of that consumption into Black American institutions and businesses, that money will allow us to live and thrive forever,
Mm-hmm.
honestly and wholly. If we transferred our money, from externally owned institutions to black owned institutions. If we
Mm,
started investing in black REITs, which is real estate investment trust, if we started investing in more in just black real estate project, period, if we started investing more in black financial institutions, that is the hub that we need, because
mm,
those black institutions can now build grocery stores. They can build plazas. They can build hospitals. They can build, whatever we need in the community to make sure that whatever we need, we already have.
mm,
So if we need to have one of the state of the art factories to 3D print something or whatever, we can literally build all of those things and never have to step outside of our community. And not
mm,
only that, because of how dope we are, and because, again, we're the barometer of what's cool, what's popping, now you gotta come. Because
mm,
now we know better. We don't want your milkshake no more. You want our milkshake. So now we're going to charge you the premium that you've been charging us.
mm,
You want to buy our culture. We no longer going to buy our culture from Disney. We only going to buy it from Tyler Perry Studio.
mhm,
That's what it's supposed to be about. So when you want to get a Beyonce feature, when you want a Beyonce visual album, you got to go through XYZ Black American financial, film studio. That's
mhm,
how we do that. You want
mm,
to get, anything, food, entertainment. I don't care. If you want to get your sports from us, because I
mm,
love seeing Negroes run up and down fields, courts, and all of that. You got to pay us more. And I
mhm,
mean networks. I mean network money.
mm.
Them checks that you cutting these athletes or whatever, that look like a lot to the average person, but I know what y'all making on the back end as an institution.
Mhm,
I need
mhm,
that shit. So that's
mhm,
why I did like what Ice Cube was doing with his
mhm.
league or whatever. You feel me?
Yeah, yeah.
We need more of that. We need more ownership. We need
I'm,
more ownership. And that's
I-
what I'm always going to be advocating for. Because
I'm
once
a,
we own it, I'm telling you, everybody going to have to shop with us. Because
I'm a.
nobody want to shop with none of that standard size. Nobody want to shop. Nobody is fly as us, man. Nobody cooks as good as us. Nobody does what we do. That's
Yeah,
why people buy it. That's why you can't sell snacks without saying some type of black slang. You
yeah,
can't sell nothing in this country without trying to sound like me.
yeah, yeah.
So
I,
imagine if everything that you was buying for real was coming, like being, all that money was coming to us. It's
yeah,
possible. We'd be
yeah,
recession proof.
yeah.
Everybody talking about. Somebody told me today that because of what I said, me and Tori said about Asians, that's why you don't get no help from Asians. Like, yo, son, do you understand that all of these businesses is because of 100%, if not 99% Black American consumers? These
Yeah,
Chinese food spots in the hood.
yeah,
Who you think is buying this food?
yeah, yeah,
So it's like
yeah,
at the end of the day, it's not about us, you helping us. We are keeping y'all afloat. All of that group, that's the irony in all of this. Outside of the government funding most of Asian group economics, the other half or the other sum of the support comes from Black Americans. So who's
yeah,
helping who for real?
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you this right here. You can call it racist or whatever. I haven't eaten Chinese food since the shutdown. I don't think I'll ever eat Chinese food ever again, bro.
yeah. I stopped eating
Real
Chinese food
talk.
a long time ago. I'm gonna get into these super chats, and we're going to start wrapping this up. I just want to clarify my point about the hood being on the internet. Watch this.
Yo, son, we've been on here
You
for
ready?
3 hours. I ain't even peep.
Yeah, yeah. You ready?
Say it again.
Right now, we on the internet. The hood don't be on the internet. They be on Zuckerberg land. The
Right,
the hood is on the gram and on Facebook. So if it's not on the
right.
gram or the Facebook, they don't see it. Facebook is not the internet. It's on the internet. The internet is this
Mm.
the internet is this vast space. And the only place that black people occupy on the internet is the fucking social networks. And the only real internet properties we own are fucking gossip and entertainment websites. So we're not on the internet. We access the internet, but we ain't on the internet. Only thing that black people see on the internet is what Facebook's algorithm says they can see. And half of that shit is shade room and entertainment bullshit. That's not the internet. That's not what the internet was intended for. The internet was intended for fucking information and yo ass fucking learning some something. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I say on the
Yeah,
internet. Like
yeah,
we
yeah.
we we fully maximize the internet. Niggas ain't really maximizing internet. So let me read these super chats. Hotep with it, 499 super chat. He said Hotep and Bill catching the replay. Be blessed, big brothers, and of course stay with it. Shout out to Hotep with it. Always support and appreciate you, my brother.
Stay with it.
Pilly, $5 super chat. Thank you, sir. John J, $10 super chat. He said, I don't mean no disrespect when I come with my questions. I don't believe there were black Native Americans writing Egyptian hieroglyphics. I'll ask one more time if y'all got any sources or videos. So let me just diagnose. Let me just diagnose what John Jay's problem is. And
Mm.
I call this white insecurity, right? They are so insecure that they could never believe that you have any agency or power or you've done or contributed to society in any way, because if that's true, then that makes them less powerful, and that's his white insecurity speaking. John Jay, you're going to heal one day. You're going to heal. I don't know how. I don't know how. I think you might need to do some studying. I think you might need to do some soul and reflection, but I'm not going to help you heal. I'm not going to. I'm going to
I'm about to
continue.
say, because if you're not going to take my word for it, if you're not going to look up those acts, if you're not going to, do some more Googles based upon that, or at least try to, not even take my word for it, but if you, use the launch, if you use the information that we put as a launch pad, you can actually delve deeper into it.
That's the
And I
problem.
don't
That's
want
the
to.
problem. That's the problem with information. See, like you said, when we ran into Sarnetta, right? And Sarnetta gave us information through all of the speakers he had on his channel. We don't go, okay, I believe you or I don't believe you. We take that as a launch pad to go look up some more information. The white
Right.
insecurity wants to doubt before inspection, before self-inspection, before doing his own self-research. What somebody would say is, oh, this is some information I haven't heard before. I'm going to go do my own research. I'll come back with some questions later. That's what an honest person would say. But somebody with white insecurity is going to say, this can't be real. Show me your proof. No, nigga, you go find the proof. I'm not here to educate you. I already tried to
And that's my
educate
whole
you.
thing. And that's my issue, because it goes right back into the, first of all, we already know as far as the hierarchy of the audience. Like, let's just keep it all the way fucking funky. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't hate white people or whatever, but like my message, like I've co-founded Hotep Nation to make sure Black Americans was okay. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I all of our white brothers and our white peoples, because I do consider them brothers in a lot of sense. Like my boy Chad, like that's fans. You feel me? Like he already invited me out to the crib and all that. So the camaraderie is 100% there. But they it just so happens that all of them all respect and understand who my primary focus is.
Yeah.
And I believe that should be everybody's race. Every race should be thinking like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But that's a whole different conversation. I got the Forbidden History email that's coming this weekend. I promise John Jay, he's gonna love that one, because we talking about WG on that one. So when what we talking about? What was the last thing we were talking? Oh yeah, so when it comes to the white insecurity part, I understand that it really is rooted in the same miseducation that Black people got. Because you understand, like those history lessons, white people was lied to about their history too. You feel me? When you lie about what Africans, natives, and aboriginals did, you also have to lie about what white people did. Like you
Yes.
can't, you know what I'm saying? Like so white people are just as miseducated, if not more, than Black people when it comes to our socioeconomic history, our legislative history, and all of that other stuff. Because they had to tell you that natives weren't Black.
Yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
they had to tell you that they all looked like, the guy who drops the one tear on the littering commercial.
Yeah.
You had to also believe that, because if you learn it, because that's another thing that they try to make it seem like, even some of the conscious community, like, yeah, the white people know, all the white people know, but you don't know. I promise you, I got too many white people that if they learned this shit, I would be the first person they call.
Yeah.
They be like, yo, I just learned what? You know what I'm saying? So I know white people wouldn't be able to keep that shit to themselves. Now,
Yeah.
I do know that there's an elite, small group of white people who understand, because all you got to do is watch Beyonce's Black is King. And I 100% attribute a lot of the imagery, most of the symbolism, to Beyonce and her creative team. However, you got Dogon in there, you got different Yoruba, you got a lot of Hotep in there. You feel me?
Okay.
And
Okay.
you're not going to allow that as a Disney corporation if you didn't know what it was.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, That is real. They understand that. And I know the real small elite, they understand it because you got to remember those small elites, they turn our ancient African spirituality into occult shit. They turn it into, you know, a pretty much black magic or dark magic. So the same astrology that they follow, the same, all of those same signs, that's all ancient African spirituality. And they just use it to their own advantage. So
Mm.
understand that there is a small group of white people or Europeans or whatever you want to call them, pale face or whatever. They do have that information. That's why, like the Freemasonry, you definitely got to delve into that to show. Like all of that is African spirituality,
Yeah.
just being remixed and stepped on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So when you come in with when you come in with that, I don't feel sorry because I don't feel sorry for most people, but I understand that you're just, if not more ignorant than the people that are more susceptible to even what I'm saying. There's people who agree with me who still is like mind blown. You feel me? So I know if somebody who doesn't believe me or is coming from a skeptic's perspective, I know it's like, pushing a boulder uphill when it comes to John Jay or whatever. And I let's just say, I believe you when it comes to, I'm not trying to be disrespectful and all of that. If that was the case, G, I don't believe you. But if that's the case, then do your Googles. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the fly right now. I don't have all of the sources in my back pocket. I'm using my phone. So given the circumstances, if I was, sitting down with you and I actually had another piece of device or information that I could actually pull up different things, but I'm flying off the top of my head. I gave you names of apps that told you that this was native land. You feel what I'm saying? And if we just going off of just basic lineage, if we're talking about the natives or the aborigines of North America, you cannot possibly believe that they all have one
Mm.
phenotype because we don't
Mm.
even say that.
Mm.
We say that yes, the mongoloid phenotype was here. The certain like we Leif Erikson, one of the first Europeans to come to North America. I'm pretty sure that if he settled here, I'm pretty sure he had certain descendants here too. Columbus and them raped in everywhere they ever been, so I'm pretty sure there's some European roots here as well.
Mm.
However, we can't just negate one to shine light on the other.
Mm.
We don't say that no Africans came. Yes, some Africans came. However, most of them were native. So we're saying, yes, we've got the Mongoloid, which is pretty much Asian. I don't want to sound racist when I say that. Like the Mongoloid phenotype is what I mean. You got that. You got the European. You got the Negro. You got everybody coming here. But you got to understand that this lineage yes, this is real. People, there is no. All right. So one of the things that I did learn through my man, like I said, look him up, Dan Calloway, John Jay, for real. He explains this shit pre-recorded on YouTube way better than I can. I'm under his tutelage right now. I'm going to contact him, directly, to make sure that I can actually have him on, my show and stuff like that when I interview him because he has a world of knowledge. However, in the video, he
Yeah.
actually spoke about slavevoyages.org. You ever heard of that?
Who?
Slavevoyages.org.
Nope.
Okay, look it up. It's very interesting. I'm glad we get to do this in real time because it blew my mind when this happened. And I don't get my mind
Not
blown that
there.
often.
It's not there. Oh wait, I spelled it wrong. I put slaves.
You
Uh,
spreading misinformation. It exists.
explore the dispersal of enslaved Africans across the Atlantic world. Okay, I'm here. Yeah,
Or
Henry
just try
Lewis.
to search it. Maybe it's not slave voyages. Maybe it's, I don't know. It's just slave voyages. It's
I'm on the website right now. I'm on the website right now.
oh yeah, cool. All right,
Yeah.
so on the history of the project tab,
History of the project. I see transatlantic. I see intra-American. You said look for what?
look for the history of the project. Should be like about us, you know, that
Okay.
section of the site.
All right. I'm going to the about page now. About the project. Yeah. Transatlantic independent culmination of several decades of independent and collaborative research by scholars drawing upon data in libraries and archives around the Atlantic world. The New Voyages website itself is the, you said history of the project?
You said history. You found it?
History of the project?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm there
So
now.
on one in the top paragraph,
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm following along with you.
Okay.
Oh, they speak on how they pretty much got the information for the slave wages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in on the page it says, I just the only reason why I am following along on mine is because I want to make sure that I'm reading it correctly. All
Okay.
right. So you see where it says in the 1970s and 1980s.
Yep. In the 1970s, 1980s, scholars created a number of slave ship data sets, several of which the current authors chose to recode from the primary sources rather than integrate the data sets of those scholars in the present set. By the late 1980s, there were records of approximately 11,000 individual transatlantic voyages and 16 separate data sets, not all of which were transatlantic nor, as it turned out, slave voyages. Uh-oh. And of course, some sets overlapped others. Several listings of voyages extracted from more than
Can you
one
hear me?
source. Yeah, you can't hear me?
What's going on?
Turn the computer off. I'm reading the thing right now. And of course, some sets overlapped others. Several listings of voyages extracted from more than one source had appeared in hard copy form. Notably, 3 volumes of voyages from French ports published by Jean Medas and Sergei and Michel Daguet, or Dage, however you pronounce that, and 2 volumes of Bristol Voyages, expanded to 4 by 1996, authored by David Richardson. Oh, yes. The basis for each data set was usually the records of a specific European nation or the particular port where slaving voyages originated, with the information available reflecting the nature of the records that had survived rather than the structure of the voyage itself. Very interesting information here. Can you hear me, though? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's going on?
Turn the cut the yeah, there you go. You hear me better now? I got a a super chat. I'm gonna from John J. I read here. First, I just gotta say, John J. Thank you for sending this money. That's the first thing. You're building Hotep Nation one super chat at the time, so I gotta thank you for that. So John J. says, when I come to people with the truth about World War II history, I have my sources ready and my facts straight because I know people are going to push back against me. Y'all don't come correct. Well, here's my response to that. On the part where you say people are going to push back against you, right? That is an intersection, right? And at that intersection of pushback, you can either entertain or decide to ignore. We are choosing to ignore you, John Jay. We don't care. See, in order for us to want to educate you, we'd have to care to educate you. We don't care what you think. These are our studies. We are presenting our facts. If you don't like what you're hearing, that is completely fine. If you don't think we're valid, that is completely fine. We don't need your approval to be valid. There are many people that listen to us and they love the content, they love what we have. If you don't like it, you don't got to be here. But the last thing Hoteps do is try to explain or argue our history. We don't argue our history with white folks. Hoteps do not argue our history with white folks. You will never catch me. I repeat, you will never catch me in a debate with a white person debating black history. I'll never do it. I will never debate one of you people over my history. My history is for me. Your history is for you. Now, what I do is I study white history because I'm gonna argue with you over your history and your dark history and the Great Stink. That's what I will do. But I'm not here. I'm not here to turn non-believers into believers. That's just not what I'm here to do. I'm here to present information, and what you take from it, you take from it. If you don't like it, that's fine. You can go someplace else and get the information. If you don't think it's valid, that's completely fine too. But you have to understand, we don't care. We don't care. John Jay said, by the way, y'all, I'm actually black. I just be trolling. I don't believe you. Hotep with it. Say John Jay about to cry because y'all too real for him. Real talk. Real talk. Doe, thank you very much for this
Oh
conversation.
man, I am
We,
so upset. I literally didn't hear the read or nothing. You read the whole paragraph, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Well, you read in the article where they said that some of the voyages may not even be transatlantic or a slave voyage at all.
Yes. Yes. It's
So
common sense though. It's common sense. Like this is what I'm saying like about blacks and natives in America. Like I don't need no book to understand some shit, right? I can just look at where we are today. If I go to the Caribbean, I'm gonna see a whole lot of niggas. If I go to South America, I'm gonna see a whole lot of black niggas. Now, they didn't just appear there, they've been there. Now, currently, I believe 40% of the people in ICE facilities are from Haiti. So if motherfuckers
44.
had 44%, thank you. 44% of the motherfuckers in ICE facilities are from Haiti. How did people who have nothing, who are poor and trying to escape oppression in Haiti, how did they get to America? If them motherfuckers get to America today, obviously years ago, without oppression, people got to the Americas before. If there's black motherfuckers in South America and they're held at the ICE facility and they found their way to Americas, obviously people before Columbus made their way to the Americas. And in Cristobal's Colon's own records, he said, everywhere we went, we saw Negroes. This is his own record.
Negroes.
This is
Yep.
his own record. He said there wasn't a place he visited where he did not see black people. So I don't need to read no books or provide sources. I have common sense, and that's what a lot of people lack these. And the thing is, a lot of people rely on books instead of their own common sense. And the first thing I do is
Correct.
I go based upon common sense, and then I go to the books to give me evidence. But I rely on my common sense first before I do any of this shit. And I
Oh,
got
so here's my thing. So two things, because I forgot when you asked me the question earlier about some things that's like forbidden. Uh, I'm gonna say some shit. This is gonna be controversial, but we're gonna save it for in a second. I don't know if you saw on the Slave Voyage site that is user contributed, meaning that it's like open source. It's like Wikipedia. I submitted a slave voyage myself. I submitted the vessel Kala, and I told the story of a slave named Boo Boo who actually had a fight with a rival slave and of the Supreme Team, which is a funny little thing about 50 Cent, which is his nickname in the Supreme Team. And T'Challa, of course, is the fucking Black Panther. And like, I was able to submit a slave voyage. Now, I doubt they approved it, but the fact that I was able to do it, and the fact that it's approved and disapproved at the discretion of the owners of the website, I mean, at the end of the day, if they say that was a real voice, then it's canon at that point.
mm.
So we've gone over that part. Now, one of the things that I did learn, and this is going to be a homework for everybody else to prove me wrong. Harriet Tubman is not a real person.
You said what?
So Harriet Tubman is not a real person.
Uh-oh. I love shit like this. Let's go.
All right. So the story of Harriet Tubman comes from a woman named Sarah H. Bradford. It's called "The Scenes of the Life of Harriet Tubman." It was a storybook, and it was detailing the life about this black woman, uh, former slave, and doing all of these things. And it was published by a
Mm.
William Moses, and Esquire. So I think it was like a lawyer, right? So the entire story of Harriet Tubman comes from um, needing or wanting rather pension money, because at this time wives or widows of Union soldiers or soldiers in the Civil War got pensions every month, because they needed to live. So she was married to a Daniel or a Nathan. I'm bad with names. I think it's a Daniel. And yeah, her last name changed and things of that nature. And every month after her husband died, they filled out these applications, these general affidavits, they call it, and to get the monthly pensions. And every so often they would ask for an increase on the pension.
Uh.
And They created this fictional character. Now, the woman in those photos are real, of course. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing to find a random black person, in the photo. And that's what a lot of people are going to, I know people are literally pissed off right now because they've seen that picture of Harriet Tubman. They associated that with Harriet Tubman and all of that stuff. But I'm here to tell you that this woman is a fictional character created to get pension money from the government. Every month because she was supposedly a widow.
Uh,
And this is more lessons that I learned from my brother Dan Calloway. And he has all of the sources, it's all there. So don't trip, look it up. Yes, I said something inflammatory and I'm leaving you right there. Harriet Tubman didn't exist. Look up the general affidavits. Now, the reason why this is funny because they said she was purported to be illiterate, couldn't read or write.
mm,
However, her signature is on all of the affidavits.
mm,
And one of the things that they have is back in the day, or even sometimes today, people would sign their name if they couldn't read or write. They would sign their name with an X,
right.
and the power of attorney or the person who was fully in their right mind or could read or write would actually sign on their behalf or whatever. So if you look at the affidavit for Harriet's excuse me, if you look at affidavits for Harriet's pensions, you see that it's the same handwriting on every last one of them. So that means it had to have been the same person writing it, but there is a little black X in between the witness Harriet's name and the person who is like the attorney or whatever. So the same person is filling this shit out every month, but Harriet doesn't read or write. So you can see that it was actually filled out on her behalf or on her behalf based upon her power of attorney and things of that nature. And it was William Moses and Sarah H. Bradford who
Mm,
created the story of Harriet Tubman.
mm,
That is forbidden history for your ass.
mm.
Look it up.
That's a great note to
Prove
close.
me wrong. I dare you.
That's an excellent note to
Prove
close.
me wrong.
Niggas is gonna have a heart attack with that.
Yeah, now that's real forbidden history. That's not just unknown history, uncommon history. Nah, nigga, that was literally like held from you, nigga.
You know what's funny
Yes.
about that is I was talking about common sense. My common sense told me don't fuck with Harriet Tubman or Frederick Douglass. My common sense said, yo, these people can't be for us. They're way too famous to be good for us. So,
Yep.
like I said, I could just start looking up. I can like my intuition to tell me, yo, this shit ain't good for us. And I could start, like you said, Dan Calloway, and we go down a rabbit hole. So sometimes what happens is my intuition tell me something, my common sense, and I'd be like, I'm not even gonna look this shit up because I trust myself more than these other motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying?
hmm
And I'm glad you provided
So,
that.
one of the things that's the reason why. Because think about it. Why is she famous? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Of course, like for freeing the slaves, right? However, there's a bunch of people that freed slaves. Let's not get it fucked up. There's
A
a bunch of
bunch.
a bunch of slave rebellions all throughout history.
Yep.
But
My ancestors.
Harriet didn't have any. Harriet didn't have. Um, Harriet didn't have any children. So
Mm,
all of this fame that her name got, who is that money going to?
mm.
You feel me?
Probably a
Her estate is still being held. Somebody still holds her estate. They just dropped the Harriet movie last year.
mm, mm,
Somebody in the Tubman line is getting that money. It
mm.
has to be. Shout out to my youngin. He told me that my youngin Mike, he's African Mike. He told me to shout him out. Shout out to you, youngin. I'm gonna hit you up later. But he now that family, just like the family who owns Chanel,
Yeah.
they get all of those royalties.
Right.
All of those Harriet Tubman books, Harriet Tubman movies, Harriet Tubman action figures, Harriet Tubman, everything that's supposed to be going to this quote unquote Harriet Tubman estate goes to them. So they honestly, if you ask me, they created an asset or they created a financial instrument to build wealth with. They created a whole identity. It's like identity fraud. You feel me? Like they created an entire identity, found a few pictures of this woman. You feel me? Not found them, maybe even took pictures. Took pictures of this woman, said that this was Harriet Tubman, and then they used that woman's likeness and identity to get monthly pensions from the government. Look it up. Prove me
Uh,
wrong.
uh,
Show me where show me any of her record. Show me her record. You feel me? Because I know they got what's the Artemina, what's the name? Ross. I can't think of the first name. I'm blank. I can see the word, but I can't pronounce it right now. I've been butchering too many words today.
Okay.
So but yeah, there is no record of her other than the fabricated records that, you know, from that story. And it's called The Scenes of the Life of Harriet Tubman by
Mm,
Sarah Rector,
mm,
printed by William Moses, Esquire.
mm-hmm. Executive Director Karen V. Hill.
Huh?
I'm over here going down the rabbit hole trying to track down who's running her estate, and it's one big rigmarole. But yo, we're gonna close out right there. We're gonna close out
No
right
way.
there. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Wonderful, 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 uncomfortable conversation. I'll be back next week with a very special guest, Erica Lachey, and that conversation is going to be another amazing. She's going to blow you guys away. Um, so tune in. Peace and love. I'll catch y'all next time. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit the subscribe button before you leave.